Juggling dangerously.
Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday, the 6th of April, 2025. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today is Zachary Burgess.
Sitting not dangerously.
And Robert Kemp.
Drinking semi-dangerously.
Moderately dangerously.
Hope you're sitting comfortably, because we may be here for a while.
Well, yep.
I think because in case you didn't hear, news happened.
Well,
There's news this week.
technically only one piece of news.
Yeah, one really big, convoluted,
Huge.
some up, some down news. It's all over the place. And that news is, I got a pizza without sauce.
Yep. Disaster.
What happened?
I don't really
Pizzagate.
know. So
Oh no, Pizzagate's already a thing, isn't it?
Yes.
Sorry.
Wrong pizza cake.
yeah,
that was really weird.
I don't really know what happened. So I've talked about before how like the Asda system now has like a kiosk, right? And you have to put your order into these
Like
like
a McDonald's.
yeah, these touch screens. But it
no.
it changed recently. So like, well, okay, it's not all Asda's. The big one in Ipswich, that's how you do it. You don't talk to a human anymore. You just plump some buttons.
Plump them.
Yeah, you plump your thoughts about pizza into the machine via the medium of your fingers, and somehow pizza
that a
arrives
medium?
like 20 minutes later. Yeah, I'd say if dance can be a medium,
Yeah, I guess that's true.
the wiggliness of my fingers is definitely a medium.
Yeah, the kind of dance. A pizza selection dance.
Yeah.
And the verb to do that is plump.
Yeah, clearly. That's the pizza ordering verb. Gotta plump it in there.
Plump it in there with your finger dance over the touchscreen.
It's the new frontier of neuro connectivity, right? It's plumping. Anyway, so I plumped my pizza order in, and
And then something happened, basically.
So somehow I ended up with a pizza that was all the toppings, the cheese and all the toppings, but for some reason zero sauce. But so I kind of blame that on there's something had changed recently in the kiosk. So they removed a whole bunch of stuff for one thing, right? They drastically shrunk the amount of options you have. Which is a shame because they had only recently like increased the number of options to have some interesting stuff. But what it seems like there's like a lot of the sections that you would normally expect don't have a default option set. So it's like the only one. Okay, there's a cheese option that is set to I want cheese.
Yeah.
But there's also the option for no cheese. But that one does actually default to have cheese on. But then there's the sauce one. The sauce one doesn't have any. It's like 3 radio buttons for like no sauce, tomato sauce, and barbecue sauce. And by default, none of those are checked.
Real bad UI design.
Yeah. You should obviously just leave tomato checked by default, right? And then
Yes.
And the same for the oil option, right? Because it has to do those like flavored oils you put on the top, so you can either have nothing, garlic, or chili. I think they've reduced it to just those.
I mean, realistically, why is there no sauce button at all?
Well,
I mean, come on.
I mean that's always. I mean, Domino's and Pizza Hut have had that option for a long, long time as well.
Yes, but why? Why? Who needs that?
Why? Who?
I mean, I have to confess, there's a bit of me that's always been like mildly intrigued to be like, okay, what if I just take tomato out of the equation, like, and just get to the good stuff, like, just
Seriously?
yeah.
That is the good stuff.
You need the sauce for
tomato with the
lubrication.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's too dry.
And it's like Noam was saying,
Pizza.
Isn't the tomato layer for actually absorbing some of the oil for some of the stuff that comes off the top, like does that actually help like soak it up?
I mean,
a
it would
little
go
bit,
into the bread otherwise.
Yeah.
It's not really that much different.
Yeah, maybe that's the thing though. Maybe it helps prevent soggy bread at the end of the cook.
I think that's what people most care about, really.
No, I don't know. Maybe there is a structural reason, but yeah, there's just a bit of me that's just like intrigued by it. But like, I was happy just to cook this thing up, but no, I got overruled and was like, so all the toppings of this thing come off, and I put some tomato puree on it, and it was fine.
It was all right.
Yeah.
I mean, I Rob would have been fine with just cooking it, and I
I just want to know.
I would have been fine with it for the experiment, but I don't think it would have turned out very good because that was the pizza that had mushrooms on it, so most of the moisture would be mushroom water, which is probably not great.
It is a bit more moist, that one, usually. I don't even know if moist is the right word. It's much more fluid.
I mean, that is moist. Water is wet.
The wettening. Yeah, so that happened. But we fixed it.
Sort of. Mostly.
Home fix. So yeah, I guess, I don't know, I must have just my plomping must not have been accurate.
You extra plomped.
Misplomped.
Yeah. I pushed the any key. I mashed the keypad with my palm now, I guess. And somehow managed to pick no sauce instead of Tom sauce.
I mean, did you say, I forget if you said, does it let you continue the order if nothing is selected in that section?
You do have to pick something. Right. I mean, that's mildly confusing, right? Because you get to there's no... The call to action to complete your order isn't visible at all.
No, right. Even more evaluated.
Until you've plumbed it in, and then the button appears once you've picked everything.
Right.
There's only because that confused me for a while. I'd gone through the thing, I'd got to the very bottom of the form, and there was just a go back button, and I'm like, what? What's going on here? And that was when I learned about the no default thing. Yeah, it's a bit weird. Also, if I get asked to do an accuracy check at the bloody self-service tills one more cocking time,
I mean,
I think I have a 75% suspicious rate. That I just buy. So okay, have you ever done in your shop where you do you carry around the scanner,
scan on the go,
or use your phone to do scan and go, right? Because you can do that now, so you don't have to bother. You pack as you go, which is actually quite convenient. But the thing is you get to the checkout, right, and it will go, you've been selected for an accuracy check, and then someone has to come over. And that means someone has to notice you need them to come over, right? And then they come over, and then they have to scan. It seems like half your trolley full of stuff to make sure that you're not pulling a fast one. But that happens to me 75% of the time. And it's what is the point in the speed of the scan and go if I'm just going to get constantly collared for being sus?
I mean, I would have thought that the easiest way to do that, which would still be ridiculously inaccurate, would be to just weigh it like they do when you're doing a normal self-checkout.
Yeah.
Just put everything on there and then just have it say, oh, that's probably about the right weight, and then just leave.
I wonder if you could, because if you're packing as you go, you could just lift your bags onto the scales.
Yeah, you could just take them out of the trolley, put them onto the scales for a second, have it registered, and then
add it all up. I guess that's how you'd have to make sure you'd put all of it on.
Yes.
And I guess I suppose there's the risk that it might not be quite those checkouts might not be. Well, the scan and go checkouts don't even have any weighing scales, right? Because it's supposed to be the tiny little kiosk that you don't actually have to do anything on. It's supposed to just be able to rock up and go. But they do have the trolley shop ones, right? They do have the big old weighted area. Not weighted. Scales. Big scales. Anyway.
Or we need to go to... This is only a reference because I was watching a video about this recently. We need to go to enemy of the state technology where they can see what you put in your bag by rotating the camera around the shape of your bag.
Rotating it around the vertical. Where Jack Black's on the computer rotating your bag.
Oh, you mean the Amazon, not AI?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll just pay 1 billion Indians to watch you shop. Sure, AI. I'd like to know what AI would think I've put in my my basket. I mean, it can't write words right through image when you're asking it to make an image. It's still not very good at that. So it's what have you put in your bag? Oh, you have a lovely packet of slush.
Some plomp.
Some plomp. Yeah. You plomped 4 apples.
You plumped, exactly. Whatever it was you plumped. That's what's in there.
Have you done plomping your shop? Yeah.
I mean, that is what you have to do in the normal self-checkout. You have to plump it.
You have to plump it, yeah.
That's now the verb for using a
just...
touchscreen.
Is that a Black Eyed Peas song? Plump it. Plump it.
I think I might have just figured out the etymology or the words that you combine to make plump. One is like plop, obviously. But I think one is like plumped, as in I plumped for that one.
Yeah,
which is a real thing.
Or even plum, because I say plum quite a bit when I'm talking. Obviously, Cody, right? You're just like, oh, I've just got to plumb that in. Like,
oh, plum. Okay.
Although that's a bit more obviously architectural when you're talking about it in that way, but I do say that a lot.
Okay, plumbing.
So I think that's where my mind went to an extent. Plomp. Let's make it a thing, people.
Okay, well, that already is now, I think.
Will this be one of our dumb in-jokes that last forever, or will it only exist in this one podcast?
Let's see. We'll soon find out. But that's a thing that will affect a small corner of the world, but things have been happening that will affect a lot of the world, the gaming world, that is.
Oh, again, straight. This is a podcast about video games. It sounds like we're going to get straight to
it. Better be.
Video games.
It better be.
It better be.
Or Ralph,
well, it is today.
What would you do, Zach, if it wasn't about it? What if we did a podcast that had no video game content in it at all?
I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with that, clearly, because just listen to any of the other podcasts we normally do.
You were making the threat.
That wasn't a threat.
Oh, yeah. Let's see what the courts say. Okay, let's just get this out of the way.
Yeah, let's get out of the way.
Hour and a half at least.
We've all been dreading this for years.
It finally happened, people. We have the Switch 2 Direct, where Nintendo just actually talks about the thing, rather than just showing us some CG footage of a thing.
The thing and the games on the thing.
Some of the games on the thing, and some things that they didn't necessarily talk about in the thing in a quite perfectly clarifying way. Let's say that. We'll come to it. Oh, let's tackle the hardware first. Right, big guns here.
You're not even going to do this chronologically. You just want to talk about the hardware.
I think we should talk.
The hardware section wasn't even logically chronologically in their own thing. It was like, we're just shove this in here.
Yeah. I mean, let's do physical stuff and then software-y stuff. I guess is that probably the easiest way to tackle it. Magnets. Definitely magnets. Let's get out of the way. Things we knew. There's definitely magnets on those Joy-Cons. It's probably electromagnets.
I don't think it is, but and I also still think it's an incredibly bad idea. In fact,
the fact that they called it a magnetic circuit at one point was
but that's just them saying it's a magnetic field.
But how do they easily release them?
There's magnets in the rare earth magnets in the console itself, and then metal. They made the buttons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Metal.
Which is why I now think this is an even worse idea than it was before, when it was just going to be magnets and metal. Because
right. So yeah, one question.
Brush your hand across the top of your keyboard right now and feel how stable those button caps are, and then just imagine that you're attaching something to the side of a console using those continuously for several years.
Yeah, okay, so a little bit of what I mean. So to break that down a little more, remember when you took the Joy-Cons off and you could put them in landscape mode, as I've heard people calling it recently.
Sure.
And it reveals two tiny little shoulder buttons up there. They've made those bigger, so yeah, big plus. They needed to be bigger. Those were way too small in the original one. But those are also the magnetic contact points.
Yeah,
but because they're buttons, it's like, okay, what does that actually? When they're attached, are the buttons depressed? So, or can you push the sides of them a little bit, and make them go
presumably the plastic.
I hope they're sunken
shielding,
a little bit.
Presumably the plastic shielding will be flush with where the buttons normally sit, so it will just push up against that.
Yeah, I think that's probably how it is.
But then when you push the release button, which all it actually does is extend a little tiny knob of plastic to push the Joy-Con away from the magnets.
That's all it does.
That's going to impart quite a lot of pulling force on the top of the button, especially the top one.
Yeah, they did describe it as it's easy to do. That's true. But like how if those magnets were strong enough, surely it shouldn't be easy to do if that's all you're doing.
That is a good point, that it could potentially fuck up that top button by pulling on it. Except I don't think I've ever used those buttons on my Switch. So
well, sure. I mean, it's like, what do we care about that feature anyway?
I mean, it happens every now and then, right? Like, especially with us, because I don't really use my Switch portably, and I've got a Pro controller. Yeah. So it's like when the time I take those out is when I'm putting them in the grip, so Zach can join me at play.
Yes, exactly.
and to put them into charge.
But then so it doesn't.
Well, actually, that's not true. Because I use the ring con, right, in ring fit. So when I'm detaching them to do that,
but it doesn't matter to us in terms of the functionality of the buttons, but it will still matter of like how secure it attaches it to the console.
Yeah. So there's been a bunch of hands-on impressions since the reveal, and they've been talking about how it actually does feel, at least brand new devices, right? They feel pretty secure. Like
Yes.
it hasn't. They've actually done, at least for now, it seems like they've done a good job.
But a brand new keyboard, those buttons feel pretty stable.
Yeah.
And then as you use them,
how long will that last? But then maybe like most people just aren't using those buttons.
well, that's
So-
what I mean. That's
so it's
what I
not a
just said.
problem.
It doesn't matter whether the buttons function; it matters whether it attaches to the console firmly.
Yeah, but then if you're
I
not using the
personally
buttons
doubt
today,
that this will be. I personally doubt this will be a problem, but it's legitimate for you to doubt it, Zach.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think it'll be fine.
I mean, I think it probably will be fine, but
for the way I use the Switch, it'll be fine for me. I don't care. But,
yes,
yeah.
for the way we use the Switch, it won't matter.
I wonder.
Right.
I do wonder. Like after use, I think it's like how long, how well does it hold up? Not necessarily how well does it work out of the box, but how well does it hold up? That we won't know. So
I'm
there's that.
surprised these days. Like, I don't know. Magnets have always been magnets. I don't know what they improved in terms of magnet technology. Maybe they just found access to better rare earth
Neodymium.
magnets or neodymium magnets or something. But like,
it's probably just like purity of the elements / like
Yeah,
what
maybe.
ratio they mix together or whatever.
But like, I was very skeptical when I got this Apple Watch smartwatch. I got a strap which is secured entirely by a magnet, and I was very skeptical. And it's been perfectly fine all day, every day for like 5 years.
Yeah, that is the thing. It's just
And you can waft it near your SSDs, and it doesn't
Yes.
corrupt them.
Yeah, well, I haven't done that, but yeah.
I mean, that is the thing about magnets. Is just like it's another thing that like you don't really have any sense for is like, do they degrade really? Because permanent
Yeah.
magnets are not technically permanent, but that's usually due to like impact is the one thing that will degrade magnets quickly.
Right,
But is that even still the case?
Yeah.
Have we got magnets that are actually impact resistant now or whatever?
I have to admit, I didn't talk about this during my PC build, but one of the things the graphics card came with was this weird little prop, right? Because graphics cards are huge. Like some of them come with like whole mounting brackets now. This didn't. This had this little like standalone little, literally like just rod.
It has a pizza table basically.
Kinda, yeah. It has a little pizza table that has magnets on the bottom of it, so it magnetically attaches to the effectively the PSU shroud. Right, and then you can extend a little stick up the top that actually just. But that wasn't particularly well designed either, because the graphics card doesn't really have any flat bits on that side of it. So
you have to find the one place.
You got to wedge it on a slanty bit and make sure you don't just wedge it straight in the fans. Right, it's really weird. Anyway, but when I was messing with that, it was just like a bit of me was just like, that's a magnet in my PC. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that.
Well, yep.
I mean, I've done it anyway, but. Anyway, magnets. How do they work?
Fucking magnets. Okay.
What else we got? The mouse.
What else we got? Everything else about this. We're done talking about magnets.
We've done one thing.
We're doing controllers. Let's stick with controllers. So they are mice. That confirmed.
Yes,
They
and
are
both of
mice.
them also.
And both of them. Yeah. So you can enjoy the most uncomfortable mouse experience.
It doesn't seem that comfortable.
Yeah, we'll come back to that when we talk about the games. But I'm so not convinced by this. The C button proved to be true. That's a thing.
Well, I mean, we knew it was a button. We didn't always know it was a C button.
And it is dedicated to chat.
Dedicated to fake Discord.
Yeah, fake Discord in your Switch.
That's good. Catching up with Xbox Live circa 2003 or something.
Yeah, they're only
Also with the camera for Connect circa 2010.
Yeah, oh my god. Oh my group chat. What a thing. I mean, hooray, it exists.
Yep. And it's built into the system,
And
not
it's
a phone
built into the system. About bloody time. Okay, the streaming. You can game stream, you can screen stream. It's like that seems fine in principle. The quality and frame rate of those streams seems terrible.
I mean, it's not actually really any worse than Discord, as we discovered when you tried to stream the RoboQuest to me that time I lagged out. And it's like, this is running at like 2 frames per second.
Oh, okay.
Even between our 2 PCs.
I've had slightly better experiences with that.
Depends a lot.
Yeah, I've watched a couple of my friends play Vermintide for it before, and it's been fuzzy, but okay. You can tell what was going on. Yeah, there's some unknowns with that stuff, right? In let's talk about group chat. For starts, it begins with a G, not a C.
Yes,
I'm just going to point that out.
Is there a reason for them not to have it be the G button?
Well, I see is such a Nintendo thing.
C
right?
for chat is fine, and it's a Nintendo thing. Like C buttons on the N64.
But it's game chat.
But then when you've got a GameCube controller that has a C stick, then you've also got a C button.
Yeah, they've changed
spoilers from something that comes up later.
They've changed the meaning of C. Okay, admittedly, the nunchuck just had a random C button, right? That wasn't actually camera.
No, it was just C.
Just C. Yeah, I mean, game chat seems fine. The unknowns are like, is there a public system? As in,
absolutely not.
Yeah, I cannot believe there is one, but they didn't explicitly say either way. But
because everyone knows that it's going to be friend codes forever, because that's just what Nintendo's online system is.
Yeah, exactly. They're never going to allow like you to join a random lobby with people.
Maybe in Smash Brothers, because Sakurai might come along and make his own special exception to the rule.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question. Actually, is there scope for third? Now we've got a microphone on the system. Okay, we'll come to that. But now we've got these systems in place. Like, is there room for third parties to add their own systems into to access those, so they can run their own chat systems within games?
No, I imagine it will be a Nintendo mandated thing that if you
pass
use chat, it just runs through the Nintendo system.
Right? Yeah, they could do that. Yeah, so it just wouldn't pass their certification process or something if you do that, unless you get special permission somehow. So there's that. So in order to, let's go back to the mic. The system now has a mic built into it. They are claiming that it will work across the room. With enough noise cancelling to cancel out a blender right behind you as you talk.
Pushing doubt here on the...
highly, because like this is one of the biggest problems with the Kinect, right? The Kinect had fairly decent microphone tech in it for the time. And
but the Kinect didn't have AI, lols, which is probably what this is, including the way including the way the camera auto green screens you.
I mean, that's not
because it's clearly not like an IR camera or anything. There's no depth sensing, so it's not doing it that way.
No, it'd just be like using whatever Teams does, right, or any of these.
Yeah, what Teams does.
It's all just image recognition at this point.
Vague human shape at that stuff. To be fair,
yeah, it's not bad, but It's old source right now. Yeah, I don't know. I have huge doubts over the quality of that.
I mean, the big problem with that, as compared to even the camera, is that it's already been confirmed that you can theoretically use a non-Nintendo USB-C camera.
Correct, yeah, because there's third parties that are making them as well.
Well, sure. But I meant any USB-C camera in theory.
The Hori one looks excellent because it's a piranha plant. They've just made a piranha plant that's got a camera in it. It's great.
But then, is there any chance that also applies to microphones? Like, if you had a USB-C microphone, could you...
I think that there's a chance of that.
Yeah, there's definitely a chance.
Because there's a microphone, we'll get to it, but there's a microphone socket on the...
no, there's a headphone socket on the controller.
They didn't explicitly define what that does.
Well, you can see very briefly
just a jack.
When it rotates, it has only the headphone icon on it. It doesn't have like a headset icon on like they do sometimes if it's a combined jack.
Well, who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, they didn't explicitly say what the jack is capable of.
Yeah.
I mean, there's hope, because that's obviously, as Xbox proved when they first did it, that is the way to do it. It's great.
Yes,
yes, of course.
That'd
be dumb to add that and then not have the microphone part. That would be so dumb. Anyway,
that's a very Nintendo-like thing to do.
Well, I mean, it's
like half bake it.
I mean, it is still a significant improvement of having to plug your headphones into the console. Like even for me, sitting at my desk where the Switch is like within arm's reach, it's still really annoying to have the headphone cable go all the way over.
I mean, if the latency is good, then that's fine, because I have I have done that with the Xbox on occasion, where I've just plugged a regular headset into the Xbox controller, and it just streams all of the console audio to the headset instead, and that works great. It's a nice wireless way to do that without annoying the rest of the house.
Anyway, where were we? Microphone in the console.
Microphone on the console. Yeah, well, there's that silly camera that is not very good quality and too expensive. So everyone says third-party options may be preferable, as it turns out.
Fine, whatever.
No, I'm not gonna. Who's gonna buy that thing? Honestly,
who's going to use Nintendo's built-in chat when you have Discord?
Well, it's
actually a lot of people.
I think that's
not actually a thing that people, actually normal human beings, have that much.
No, as
a computer, a PC directly next to their Switch.
As the app actually kind of proved in the part, the Switch to talk app proved. Like, nobody wants second screen to do these things on a console. Really, you want it all baked into the one thing you're using. More on that in a bit. The other thing group chat can do that I actually think is pretty neat is the fact that the parental control thing that sends a notification to you, the parent's phone, that your child is trying to start a group chat, and you have to basically opt them in. I think that's a good thing. That's a neat little feature.
Although, in the context of Nintendo, where it's friend code land anyway, it almost seems kind of pointless.
I mean, we do have friends lists right now we've had that on the Switch, right, where you have friends on your system.
Yeah, but you still have to add them. Yeah. Like, surely that would be the step that would be parental controlled.
Oh, yeah, I guess it didn't show that they've been in... Okay, so presumably, say they had one friend, let's call him Steve.
I am Steve.
I'm Steve. But Steve's in a group with his friends that aren't necessarily on your list.
Oh, okay. Like friend of a friends, I guess.
Yeah, if Steve invites you to the group chat, does it notify the parent? It's like, hey, Steve has invited them to a chat with people he might not know. Are you cool with this?
Yeah, okay. So that is a reasonable use case, I guess, if it does that.
That nuance is kind of important. If it was just like, oh, you've already greenlit Steve in the past, that's fine.
Or, of course, there's the alternate of that, where you just can't join can't join a chat unless everyone in there is in your friends list. So you have to add them first anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we don't exactly know where the limits of this lie. But it's cool. I think it's cool that they're at least sort of thinking about it and making it quite easy. I know it's a demo presentation thing there with Bowser Jr. and Bowser.
Yep.
But there's an element of, oh, that's actually really neat. That's pretty cool. I can just quickly go boop and it's either up or down. Great, cool. I like the idea of that. It's Nintendo. It won't be perfect. It won't be perfect, but it's a nice idea. Is that group chat done? Have I cut the game chat even? G.
Sure.
The G button. What else do we want to talk about? Let's talk about the actual specs of the unit. A little bit bigger. What are we at? 7.9 inch screen now, so it's a little bit bigger.
Quite a bit bigger, yeah. I would say.
Yeah, it's
like in between Switch and Steam Deck kind of size.
They have gone backwards to an LCD panel, so it's not OLED. That was the rumor. The rumor was that they weren't going to do an OLED first up, and that we'll almost certainly get an OLED refresh a couple years away.
But
it is a better
VRR
LCD panel. It's
120 hertz.
Yeah, VRR, 120 hertz, HDR, capable.
Yeah.
I mean, HDR on that screen. I mean, there aren't many like little screens that I think accurately really do like HDR. So we'll see. We'll believe that when we see it.
Better than nothing.
VRR is a big shout though. That's a cool addition.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It has potentially it's double-edged in the sense that, okay, it means handheld play will generally probably look nicer, especially for games that struggle to hit their constant frame rate target, right?
Exactly.
That's going to look fine. And in fairness, expect a whole heap of third-party stuff to not hit their targets, right? Because that's been the standard on Switch. And yes, the Switch 2 is a whole bunch more powerful, but that's still going to happen. It's just the nature of mobile gaming these days.
Is the Steam Deck screen?
It is not. No.
No. Is it 60 hertz max?
It's 90 hertz max.
It's 90. Okay, and it's not OLED, right? is it?
Well, it depends which Steam Deck you get. There's LCD and OLED models. I've got the OLED model, and it's lovely.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they did the same thing that
they did. Yeah, they refreshed the Steam Deck. Yeah, but it's not a VRR. I think the Asus ROG Ally is a VRR panel.
Right.
So there are some out there in that space.
120 hertz. Some 2D Nintendo games would be pretty awesome at 120 hertz.
Yeah, if there's stuff that can actually run at that in the handheld mode, which presumably there must be somewhere.
Yeah, Metroid Prime 4 apparently.
In handheld mode?
Yeah.
Oh, did they
said?
Yeah,
4K 60 on full screen or.
I thought.
Oh no! Wait, it was 720, 120 on handheld.
Oh, I see.
So it's not full resolution, but you still get the 120.
Yeah. So that's the other detail. That the screen itself is now 1080p rather than 720p. So that's an upgrade. That actually makes it slightly better than the Steam Deck's screen.
Yep.
That means it's on par with the ROG Ally in terms of raw resolution. So that's nice. Although I actually have the Steam Deck's resolution is absolutely fine at that sort of its size and space, but it's still better. Better is better. More is more.
Awesome.
Yeah, so neat on that side. Battery life is expected to be around 2 to 6.5 hours, which is a fairly chunky step down from the Switch.
Yeah, especially I guess the OLED screen helps, doesn't it? Because
sure, but I had a base level Switch, and I'm pretty sure that number was higher for the base level Switch.
Like 3 to 6 or something. Yeah. I don't think it was that much different.
Well, it's like a 30% cut.
Sure.
But that's presumably powering that screen and also whatever new processor is in there.
Yep. Being
just that little more hungry. We've already sort of vaguely touched on it, but new chunky ass dock, because it's got active cooling in it. Sorry, not passive cooling.
Active cooling, yes, awesome.
It's not really clear how that works. It's like, is the back panel of the Switch metallic, so it can actually somehow draw heat out of the Switch, and how does that actually work?
I mean, it probably wouldn't even need to be metallic.
Out.
Have you ever lifted your Switch out of your dock after it's been running for a while? I think just running through the plastic would be enough to keep that slightly cooler.
Okay, maybe.
I'm sure they have a plan.
Yeah,
and which will be revealed.
There's some concern that's okay, well, that adds more room for it to be noisy.
Loads of small fans.
Yeah, but bigger fan is better, right? Bigger is quieter.
Sure.
Not always. You're not always. Depends the speed it runs. It depends on the vents. It's that's not a guarantee.
That's such a regular ass fan.
A guarantee.
Never going to hear it from across the room anyway. Really.
I mean, I can hear my Switch fans, inside the unit.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the room, but I'm pretty sure having a bigger one.
It's no guarantee at all. PC fans at a minimum are 90s to 120s, right? And those are potentially loud. It just depends on the speed they run at. It's
yeah, but the smaller it is, that happens with laptop fans, isn't it? It makes less difference the bigger the fan, right? Like the PC case fans.
I'd say it's more
quite big to.
I'd say it's more about the air channels and the motoring they use than the size of fan.
All right, it's the motoring.
You know what I mean? Well, yeah, but you can have a noisy motor or you can have a quiet motor. Those are things.
As usual, I don't care about fan noise.
Yeah, it'll be.
I think, especially if it's a normal person who has their Switch under the TV, I don't think it's going to make nearly enough noise to notice compared to a PS5 or whatever.
Exactly. In my case, it's absolutely irrelevant. I'll put it in the cabinet. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
I mean,
I think it's a good thing it's there. I'm happy. I'm really happy they put.
I'm sure they literally need that additional cooling when it's running full resolution inside the dock
to hit some of the targets they've been talking about. Yeah, absolutely. I think they have explicitly said that the old Switch charger doesn't have the wattage.
Yeah.
So so there's definitely a power bump there. I think the figures for that are out there, but I can't remember what they are off the top of my head. So you do need to use the new power supply with the device to be able to make it run how it's supposed to run in docked mode.
It won't be drawing half as much as a PS5.
Oh no! But it's indicative of what's going on here. It's like they are trading power draw for performance, or whatever way around that phrasing is supposed to work. But yeah, they are drawing more power to achieve the performance.
Yep, as
And
expected.
that requires cooling. So that dock, it's capable of a 4K 60 output.
60.
So the Digital Foundry suggestion there is that means they didn't put the more modern HDMI 2.1 chipsets and capabilities in there. It is an HDMI 2.0 thing.
Fine. Okay.
Most TVs can't handle 4K 120 anyway, so that's Nintendo doing their usual thing of not targeting the absolute best in class, but that is also fine.
Seems fair enough.
I don't know that they said whether or not VRR works over the HDMI though, because I don't know that they
I think maybe it doesn't.
That. Yeah, which is a bit of a shame to not do that.
But you can get 1440p 120 out of it though.
Correct. Yes.
Right. Which is right?
Which is 2.0. Yeah, that's perfectly within the spec for that. So that's that for again. Makes it a possible option. There might be games
you could
where
have
I'd
one of
consider
those weird middle modes that you're getting at the moment, where you'd get 40 FPS target, which divides into 120, right?
Correct. Yes, you could do that,
and you could do that at 1440p, which for stupid, for PS5 ports might be quite good.
Yeah, for some third-party projects, could actually be a viable option. Yeah.
Right, maybe Cyberpunk would run at 1440p at 40 frames.
I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean, we're going to. Are we entering the world where we're going to have like performance options on the Switch? Like,
well, according to Metroid Prime, yes, for Nintendo games at least.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, we've already seen a first-party one do that. So, I get. That's both. I don't know how I feel about that. Like, there's a little bit of me that's just like, well, the simplicity of just not having to pick. Like, this is how it was designed to run.
As we've seen, and not even had to remember that hard from playing Star Fox Adventures, you always had to pick whether you were in quality mode, 50 hertz or 60 hertz.
Right.
It's been like that forever.
That was a TV compatibility thing rather than an actual. Like, it didn't change the quality settings of the game.
Well, no, but it changed a setting, and it was always there when you booted the game up, which I'm sure these quality settings won't be.
No.
It won't be a thing you have to A button through every time you start the game, like it was in the game.
Yeah, some games do present that to you, though, right? As one of their, like, at first startup options.
Well, yeah, first startup, that makes sense, to make you make the choice right then, to make sure you understand that the choice exists.
Well, yeah, I guess.
I like having these options, like, you don't have to do all the tinkering you have to do on PC, but you also don't just get set, you have some choice. I quite like it. It's not very Nintendo, but...
It's not a very Nintendo-like thing. And I think there is... I think there's weight to the idea of not having to worry about it. Like, this is the game, this is how we designed it, this is how you should play it. Like, I don't know.
But they've just designed it two ways now.
Yeah. I think that's the bulk of the main hardware gubbins, right? There's a new stand. People seem excited for that new stand.
Well, I mean, anything's better than the original one.
The tiny little kickstand. Definite improvement.
Yeah, like you said, we don't know if they're Hall effect or whatever, but the
they only said the sticks are bigger.
Yeah,
yeah.
That was quite weird that they actually just like called that out.
Well, I feel like that's almost intentional. Like they did that specifically to make people realise that they're probably not Hall effect. Because like if they were Hall effect, they surely would have said it right then, and therefore they made sure to say something about the control sticks in order to say this is the only thing we're saying about the control sticks.
Do you think Hall effect, though, is one of those phrases that perhaps is just a hint outside, like the common knowledge base?
Yes, probably. But I still think they would have said it if it was. Or alternatively, I still think we would have heard about it from hardware leaks if it was by now.
Yeah, maybe. You're probably right.
It's funny because when they did announced the 120 hertz, they showed a little picture with Mario with like more frames to explain it to people.
Yeah, that's a classic.
You gotta explain it.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Nvidia used that exact same style of graphic, right? When they're
of course,
or various graphics cards manufacturers. I think they all use that style of representation. Yeah, what else we got? New Pro Controller. Exactly the same as the old Pro Controller. Still no analog triggers. No, it's pretty much identical. No analog triggers.
Is that actually confirmed?
Yeah.
Like, I still haven't heard. I mean, now people have had it hands-on, but I haven't read any actual information about it. So, you know, I'm trying to avoid spoilers.
They would have said if they'd have changed that anyway.
Yeah, they would. I reckon they don't do it because for parity with the, and I think that it doesn't really work as well on the unit itself.
It's fine. Steam Deck. It's fine.
yeah, just yeah.
I guess it makes the unit a little bulkier, right? They can't if you do put an analog trigger on there, you do need to add a little bit of depth for comfort,
which you can see on the Steam Deck a little bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a definite extra bulge to make room for them.
Yeah,
but it's fine. There's no problem.
It's a shame they couldn't find a way to make it smaller and fit it in, because that would have been quite nice.
Well, you could have done like
I think
pressure-sensitive buttons. I'm not sure that would actually work very well for a trigger analog, but
I don't really like those.
No. I've never hugely got into those. I know, like, that was a very PlayStation 2 thing, right?
Exactly. The Pro Controller has the random buttons on under the grip for some reason.
Yeah, it's got paddles, the customizable. So they're not like, games aren't going to target them specifically. They're going to be
well, not Nintendo games at least.
No, they're going to be buttons that you have to configure to be what a replacement for some other button. Yeah. They didn't go as far as to say whether that's like. Well, I mean, it's not going to be as hardcore as Steam Deck level customization, but like, could you assign like combinations of buttons to those paddles? So like pressing this one presses A and B together, or stuff like that. They didn't go as far as telling us about that. I'm sure there's probably.
Did they confirm, by the way, that it has all the same gyro stuff as the Switch? Presumably it does.
Oh, I bet so. I mean, it's just that like the Pro 1 has it, so why would they have taken it out for Pro 2?
Well, the Switch in general presumably has the exact same gyros.
Yeah, because it's just in the Joy-Cons, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was obviously there's no need to mention it, but I just wondered if that was confirmed.
I mean, they hinted that HD Rumbles had an upgrade.
Yeah.
I mean, you can shake it and find out how many ice cubes are in your Switch.
No, you can shake it and feel the rubber ball bouncing around in the virtual wireframe rackers.
Oh yeah. And you could learn more about your Switch 2 by
paying money.
By paying money for an interactive manual known as what was it actually called? Nintendo
Welcome Tour.
Welcome Tour. That's it. Yeah.
Super fucking weird that they're charging for
it. Yeah, it's insane.
Especially after Astro's Playroom.
Oh, mate. And
it doesn't matter. Even if it cost like $1, it's still weird.
Yep.
But this isn't the first time Nintendo have made that mistake. The Wii U, remember, had Nintendo Land.
Yes, but that's more like a game, whereas this is more like a tech demo.
Well, exactly, yeah. Nintendo Land was more like... But it was supposed to be still like...
Yes, it was still the demonstration game of the system.
For the Wii U, yeah. Here's your what this can do. But you had to pay for that. The Wii had Wii Sports, which you didn't
also
pay
a game,
for,
though.
But it is a game, yeah. But it's an exact, like, here's what this console is capable of. In fairness, what they really should have done with the Wii is pack in the other thing, right? Wii Play. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Because that's probably almost more a tech demo style product. But you had to pay for that for the Wii. And they decided to pack in Wii Sports. It's weird. It's weird. Nintendo have always been weird about this. It should just be on the damn console, pre-installed.
It should literally be pre-installed. Not even like it shouldn't even be paid at all.
It's so, but they didn't but they haven't told us how much it costs either.
Well, no, but they haven't announced basically any prices yet.
No, well,
especially not at this point in the presentation. Spoilers.
Well, yes, they didn't say it at all during the direct.
No,
like,
but like the only other way that having this be paid makes any sense at all is if it's also free with like Nintendo Switch Online / expansion pack.
But they didn't say that.
No, they didn't say that.
So I don't think it could be.
Nope.
It's so weird. What a weird thing. If it's like a quid, then sure.
That's surely not going to be the case.
I mean, it would kind of make sense if it was like something low like that, in the sense that it's a way of getting people to actually engage with the store immediately, right? So it's like, here you are. Like, if you want the guide, it's right here, but you cost £1, and that means you've got to get yourself on the store. You've got to put some credit card details in. We've got to learn a little bit about you.
But what if, without the guide, how are you going to know where the store is?
Oh my god! What do I do? Chicken, meat, egg.
Yep.
So weird. But this kind of, we're hinting at basically what is potentially the whole problem with Switch 2, and that it is around the classic Nintendo tax.
Oh god damn, are we going on to this conversation?
No,
already?
we're not. I don't want to go on to it just
Okay.
yet. I'm just sort of alluding. This is basically the one major sticking point around the whole console. We'll get into the weeds later. Is there anything else about the like main hardware you guys want to cover before we go get into games? I mean, they did say the store runs well now. They didn't say it in the direct, admittedly, but it was in the developer thing afterwards. They were like,
I mean, presumably it'll run well now because there won't be as much on it. There won't be as much bullshit garbage on it clogging up the whole system for a while.
well, if they're doing back compat, like, and I guess for a while they'll only have the confirmed list, I suppose, at first, because. Oh boy, do we want to get onto that next? The whole compatibility conversation?
Save that until after the things that came after the presentation.
All right.
Save those till after.
All right, we'll come back to compatibility. But it is kind of a bit, they did point that some of this out in the presentation itself, right? They were saying there will be Switch 2 games, of course. There will be, you can play original Switch games. And it's like, asterisk.
Well, they said compatible Switch.
Yeah, they did explicitly say, compatible Switch games.
But then they didn't go into any more details during the presentation, which is why people were momentarily
I still think
worried.
that means 90% of Switch
Well,
games.
I mean, that's what we're going to talk about later when they actually release the information.
They put out some more info on that stuff. And number 3, Switch 2 Edition games. So by that they mean Switch 1 games that have had an explicit pass on them to make them Switch 2 happy or Switch 2 improved.
Which is just like the same thing that PlayStation and Xbox are doing at the moment, obviously.
Well,
but no, because
it's not.
What do you mean it's not?
Yeah.
You go buy a PS4 game and buy the upgrade and turn it into a PS5.
Not okay. Sony muddy that a little bit, yes. So because let's explain. Switch 2 editions are paid, for the most part, paid upgrade packs to games. So you're not going to be able to put Breath of the Wild in your system and get the HDR 60 FPS version of it.
Not for free.
Not for free. No, that just is, unfortunately, there's a Nintendo tax on that.
Like the Sony one, yeah.
But this is where it gets muddy. Not every Sony game does that. There are plenty of Sony games where it is just crossover, and Xbox, it's not a thing. It's not a thing at all. If you bought an Xbox One copy of the game, you will get the series copy of the game. It's like it's never been a thing on Xbox. So like they're behind the curve. Like, yes, they're offering it, and yes, it's probably... We don't know the price, so there's that. We don't know what the price of these upgrades pack. On PlayStation, when they did this, it was usually a tenner in English money. But we don't know what that price is.
I heard $10. Yeah.
Yeah, they haven't.
$10 would be better.
They haven't actually officially announced it.
I mean, it'll obviously be £10 in UK.
Yeah. Well, yes, yeah. But they haven't actually officially said what that is. And there's some concern that that's probably I wouldn't be surprised if it's going to be maybe double that, because they're trying to wangle in DLC with these things. So you can't just buy the upgrade. You have to buy like that plus a DLC pack.
Well, I mean,
in the case of Mario Party, in the case of Kirby,
hopefully that will depend on the game.
Yeah.
Like, hopefully those ones that do include extra content will be the more expensive ones, and then the ones like Breath of the Wild where it doesn't really include any extra content will be cheaper.
But it does. You get Zelda notes.
That doesn't count.
It's to Nintendo. It probably does. It's something they added,
but it's not in the game. It doesn't count.
They will charge you for it.
I mean, there's shit you can do out of the game in Breath of the Wild at the moment.
So there's the one potentially like saving grace to that is that if you're an NSO plus expansion pass is expansion pack subscriber, the Switch 2 edition updates for the ones they've announced so far will be free. You will just get them as part of your subscription.
It probably will just be those ones in the same way as like the DLC for Mario Kart was free, but like that's really it.
They did Splatoon 2 Octo eventually, but they haven't done Splatoon 3's expansions on expansion pack. Yeah, it's a bit hit and miss whether or not that's. We just don't know. It's usual Nintendo vagaries around that stuff. Still, Zelda running at 60 FPS looks pretty nice.
In 4K 60, it looks so good. Have you seen some of the footage they put out? They put out some actual proper footage from like the treehouse with it. They did a side by side one, with the Switch. It looks epic. Oh my god,
it really does.
That's
look good.
Easily worth 10 quid to me.
Even the stuff they showed in the direct, where it's just like, oh yeah, Zora's Domain with proper HDR specular. Oh.
Or the Korok Forest they showed.
Yeah, well, running at the frame rate it's supposed to.
They didn't show that for long enough, I don't think.
Oh, what, you reckon there's like a harder bit to render?
Yeah, I think they could have run a bit further into the process to really show that was definitely running good.
Okay, but still, I'm super hyped for old games looking awesome.
No, I just hope you already own them, because buying the Switch 2 edition outright, whoa, scary money. Right, we'll come back to that.
Except not really though.
They've already said it's going to be. Anyway, we'll come back. We'll come back to pricing. That's a whole thing. They have already spoken a little bit about that. Yeah, what all of this throws a big question. All of this conversation throws a big question mark on is like, how are there any performance improvements to Switch 1 games that don't have a patch of some kind? How does the Switch 1 compatibility work exactly?
They're not going to say, are they, in a direct like this?
No, they wouldn't say it in the direct. Like I said, it's one of those things that's a little bit outside of that, for sure. But we just don't know.
I was very happy to see, you're probably going to say, but the thing I just saw before coming on the cast was that there is a free patch for Super Mario Odyssey, which is all I wanted to know.
Yeah, so I didn't. Yeah, I sort of already. I didn't say Odyssey explicitly in there, but yeah, some of these. They didn't even. These kind of fell out of the. They didn't call those Switch 2 editions, right? They just said they would be a Switch 2.
They don't count as Switch 2.
Yeah, they would just be a Switch 2 specific patch. They didn't tell us what that would do. I guess it's game to game.
It's to imply. I'm pretty sure it kind of imply. I mean, they're not specific on the page, but I think it just means it'll be 4K 60 or whatever.
See, I don't. I think Nintendo would probably take. I mean, there's a possibility. I'm not going to rule it out completely, but I think what it actually means is maybe deeper game chat and game share, which I haven't talked about game share yet. Game share integration, because they did say that. They did say that game share will turn up in. They are back porting that into more titles. Such as the 51 classic games thing, which makes sense. Which makes perfect sense. Yeah, 100%.
Unlike Odyssey, which doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah. So game share is they're bringing back the old DS and 3DS behavior where one player could have a copy of the game and they would offer essentially like a download to nearby players to let them temporarily get some version of the game running on their system for multiplayer fun. That's back. Did they say whether that... Oh, they did say that was online as well, yes. Right? So, yeah.
Well, weirdly, they specifically said it was online with Switch 2s. So if you're doing it local, you can do it on games that are compatible with the original Switch as well, which they showed for 51 Clubhouse, where it's just like, you can have a mixture of different Switches all running the same thing.
Right, so is Game Share actually being retroactively added to Switch 1 generally?
Well, presumably it will just be like an app on the Switch that will just let it see the data stream or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, but does it mean if the Switch 1 was the one that had the game?
I'm assuming the Switch 2 has to be the host.
Right, okay.
Which is probably then why it only works with Switch 2 on the online version.
Right, yeah.
Because it's going to have to use, it's going to have to check your login privileges or whatever across all the different machines that are logged in.
Yeah, okay. They could have done it for both, but yes, I see your point. They might, it's a thing. They just want to drive into the new system.
It apparently does work online, which is fairly ridiculous.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. Way. It's pretty neat.
But
you want to hear
how many games are ever going to support it?
Split Fiction.
Hopefully.
I mean, they already do that on PlayStation and Xbox, right? So,
yeah.
Friend pass or whatever they call it. He's like have a name for it, but.
Do you want to hear the Google translation on my webpage of this Japanese page to see what you think? It says,
sure.
Here's the Google Translate. For some Nintendo Switch software, free update data will be distributed for Nintendo Switch 2. If you have compatible software, you can connect your Switch 2 to the internet, download the software to get a clearer, more beautiful screen.
Nice.
It will be... we will provide further details about the update at a later date. And that list includes Super Mario Odyssey, Captain Toad, Link's Awakening, and...
already 60 FPS games, by mind. Oh no, Link's Awakening was 30.
Link's Awakening was terrible.
That doesn't even hit 30, right?
No, it was famously bad, so that would be awesome if they can run that properly. Anyway, yeah, it's not a very long list. Pokemon Scarlet.
Pokemon that's getting a Switch 2 edition, though. Oh, Scarlet, yes. Scarlet and Violet, yeah, they're getting an update. Yeah, they desperately need it.
Oh, and Super Mario 3D World, Bowser's Fury as well. Sure. And ARMS, apparently.
Hey, anyway, make sure you support your ARMS.
I kind of think clearer, more beautiful screen implies higher resolution and frame rate.
Sure, but zero guarantee, sure. But yes, I think that's the implication.
I wouldn't necessarily say frame rate, but I would go for resolution.
Yeah, okay, maybe.
See, my big hope is that, third-party games that have dynamic targeting, and maybe even some first-party games, like, Brothership and Princess Peach aren't perfect. They fall a little bit below the Nintendo standard for frame rates and things like that. That even without a Switch 2 patch, that they can at least hit their targets. That is my hope. Again, there is absolutely zero confirmation that is the case and that that's how that works.
Yeah.
What we do
I just think that, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom target 30 on the Switch, and they apparently are at 4K 60, apparently. So
with
Odyssey
the Switch 2 edition, yeah.
With the Switch 2 edition. But Odyssey targeted 60 on the Switch and hit it. So I'm sure it'd be no problem doing 4K 60.
Yes, but I guess what I'm alluding to is that Odyssey had a dynamic resolution target, right? So if
I guess, yeah.
So if it ran on Switch 2, even without the Switch 2 patch, would the game be allowed to basically hit its max target? For things
I doubt with it. Yeah, doubt without any kind of patch that anything would be different.
Yeah,
personally.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, but it's a bit of an unknown, mainly because unlike previous backwards compatibility things in Nintendo's wheelhouse, right? They haven't put a Switch inside the Switch 2, right? That is what they've normally done. The DS basically had Game Boy hardware inside it. The Wii U had a Wii in it.
But it is the same architecture. It's right? It's the same thing.
Different micro architecture. So the NVIDIA chipset is a couple of generations different. So
of course.
MVG has a bit of a dive on this stuff, and he goes to talk about, there is translation required, there is shader compilation required to make things translate, to get things across. It's not just it will run, which got him thinking. And there's a little bit of stuff on the developer. The Ask the Developers thread that it's like, hey, with software emulation wouldn't have cut it, so it's like it's a bit of emulation, it's a bit of hardware trickery. Everyone assumes what they mean is that they've made a translation layer, something similar to, was it the Apple to x86 or whatever that's called, that layer, or the Proton layer on Steam Deck. That something like that is going on to make this work, but that doesn't necessarily mean that there's locked performance there. If all they're doing is some kind of translation, then the power of the Switch 2 is potentially available. We just don't know. It's another one of those. I'm inclined to agree with you, though, that it actually will just run as it always did, which is a shame because I want my Age of Calamity to run stably. I want my Starlink to run a bit more sharply.
Right.
There are
They
definitely
probably want you to get the new game with Dynasty Warriors. I mean,
well, yes, we haven't got to that yet, but even that didn't look perfectly framey, perfectly frame paced. Games. Should we talk some games? Should we talk about the actual
starting with
guaranteed good stuff, shall we say?
Yeah.
Well, potentially guaranteed good stuff. Let's talk with the biggie, Mario Kart World. Of course, they were going to do this. We knew it was coming to some degree, but it is actually a launch game. Yeah, they're adding a lot. I think they're doing more than I anticipated. I wouldn't say they're doing anything particularly new in the world of racing games, but they are doing
for Mario Kart.
Yes, but other games have done it before. Open world Mario Kart, 24 players. That's kind of all there really is. Really, like I don't know. There's elements to that are interesting. There's elements to this that are concerning. There's grinding. That's kind of cool. There's wall jumps.
Grinding and wall riding.
That's particularly cool. They've stolen boats from Sonic Racing Transform. Finally,
they just got rid of underwater and made it boats instead.
Yeah, they made proper boats. Yeah, that's good. Everyone,
You've got like wings.
We're not going to get a wave race, so we've got boats in Mario Kart. That's fine. Well, the gliders were always there. They've been there since Mario Kart 7.
Yeah, but now it's like little wings. I think it looks nicer than the.
Yeah, I think that does look better than the paragliders, basically. Especially because the paragliders where you could change what the paraglider was, looked increasingly dumb.
Yeah, it wasn't obvious. I haven't seen the treehouse on it, but it wasn't obvious from the trailer did they still act like gliders effectively, or did they actually have full flight?
It kind of looks like it's still the same motion of gliding.
Yeah,
for the bits of it that you do see.
That's what I thought. All that stuff I'm on board with. The bit I'm not so certain I was sold on was. Those tracks look very wide and incredibly easy. There was at no point during that. Like the tracks look like the width of the road you're on looks huge, and the complexity of them seems to have taken I don't know, the actual weaving around the actual circuit. If you know what I'm trying to say here. None of those looked particularly complex or interesting to actually drive around. They were just wide-ass roads.
Well, they mostly didn't show any of the circuits. They mostly showed them in between roads.
Do we know that for sure?
Well, it's kind of obvious when you can tell. I mean, the one time you definitely see a circuit is when they're driving out of the circuit as he's saying, "You'll drive to the next circuit."
Well, yes, there is that. Most of the circuits just seem they look like to take place on the roads, just with some billboards put up. Do you know what I mean?
No,
we saw the thing the stuff they showed us in the Switch 2 reveal, like with the Yoshi's Diner, right? And
that's clearly an in-between road.
But there was just a massive. What do you mean? It was clearly were they not on the circuit? There was 24 people racing from a start line, and the first turn was a billboarded turn.
Well, they did. The original footage where it's just the road, that's an in-between road, because you see it right at the start of the new footage where you
they can be both.
Well, not really, because he's driving down that road, and then there's the name of the circuit as the barrier as he turns off that road onto the circuit. You see at the end of that bit of footage. And then when they later use the
start line's on that big road.
No, when they later use that footage again, they're doing a rolling start that goes onto that road, and it's one of the point-to-point races because you can see the mini-map. So it's not actually a circuit.
I'm not convinced by any of that. I don't know. Didn't get that feeling at all.
That's the impression I got. I think.
But also, I don't disagree that the circuits do look wider as well.
Yeah,
but it sort of makes sense when you have 24 cars, but then that's a matter of how close everyone stays together. I think that's going to be a problem more on those roads than the circuits. Because presumably the longer especially these cross-country races where you're driving just mainly on the roads and not on the circuits, across the whole span of the map.
Computer players are going to be a bit rubber bandy.
Yes, that's standard Mario Kart.
Presumably. But then again, those cross-country races are also elimination races, so it's going to automatically eliminate the people who are too far away anyway.
Apart from the thing where they said it's like now the regular championships, you have to drive between the courses.
Sure, that's the one thing.
I hope that's optional.
Well, that's the one thing that's like unspecified of like how that integrates into the circuit races. Because they say you drive between the circuits, but do you finish the race, then like you get points, and then it like puts you at the start grid of that track, but then you just drive off the track on the, like, it's like another mini race in between the actual circuit races, basically.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried it will work a little bit like how Forza Horizon deals with championships. They don't come up very often in that game, but there's the way it does it is you go to a race and it's like the first race in the championship, and then what happens is there's a few more icons appear on the map to be like, right, these are the other races in the championship. Go do them. And it's like, but there's no impetus for you to do those immediately. You could go off and do whatever the bloody hell you want.
It's not going to be like that, obviously.
And then just go. What do you mean? Obviously, we don't know. Like,
because
they did a whole Treehouse Direct with like where they showed all.
I'm sure I didn't even watch that, but like I still got that impression from the trailer where it's just like it seems like it's just going to restart everyone on that start on the previous track, and then you drive to the new one like it's another race.
Yeah, I thought it just. Like on those like drive to the next race, it would just for online that doesn't work, but like it would just drop you into the open world and be like, no, cool. Like here's your impetus to go explore on the way to the next race. Like because otherwise, free roam is a thing you have to choose to do.
Well, sure,
which is kind of against open world philosophy, and it's.
Well, no, I always assumed that. Well, I assumed as soon as I saw it in this trailer that like the free roam was going to be just like a separate mode that doesn't have any like structure to it, unless they include the sort of Burnout style start a race from anywhere thing, because they do briefly when they're during the bit where they're showing the game chat where they're like showing everyone's screen and everything. They show that the host of that party, as they're just driving around in free roam, has a thing at the bottom of the bar when everyone's close together that's like start an event.
Oh yeah. That was wow. And there were a lot of the footage they showed had someone saying, "Please wait for the event options to be picked."
Yeah, the non-hosts presumably.
Yeah, and they showed a lot of the non-host footage.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that there might be the ability to like immediately start a race in the open world, but whether that means like start a race from anywhere to anywhere, or whether that means you're on one of the tracks. So if you hit this button, you'll just start a race on that track.
Yeah. I'm going with the latter. I think that's
I think that's probably more likely for that situation. But I'm still thinking that that's how free roam is going to be separated from the like Grand Prix and everything. It's not going to be like, or maybe you can start a Grand Prix from free roam and then it will just pull the party into it, but you will still have to do the 4 tracks together, one after the other, with the drive between.
I guess my biggest question is why? Why would I want to drive if I'm doing a championship? Why would I want to drive to the next race on a defined route? Like
it's just like another track. It's just like an extension to the gameplay.
Well, it's like if that's a race in itself and like is worth money or worth points as part of the championship, fine. You've explained yourself.
I mean, that's what I'm imagining.
If it is just a transitionary thing to do, I don't want it.
Well, I found a bit weird. Like, it's not. It didn't seem that obvious when you actually transition into the track itself, because you're on the motorway between the tracks, right? You start at the previous race's track and immediately go on the motorway, right?
Yeah.
But then you arrive at the track and it just seems to be seamless. And I didn't really notice. I wasn't obviously paying enough attention.
Was it in the treehouse
gameplay
that you're talking about?
Did they actually show it was official Nintendo treehouse footage. They showed multiple. They showed all the modes as separate videos or whatever on the channel.
Did they show? Is it like uncut footage? Do you think from the treehouse? Because do they show like essentially the loading pause if it resets you onto the starting grid of the next track or whatever?
Yeah. You kind of start from the track that you just raced.
Yeah,
right?
well, that's what I'm saying. Do you start? Do you like start at the starting grid of the previous track?
I can't remember if it was the same starting grid, but it definitely felt like the same environment, and then straight onto the motorway, right?
Yeah, and then when you arrive at the other one, is there basically a finish line that's like the entrance to the next track?
No, because I think the individual tracks definitely have a circuit.
Yeah,
right. That you can run individually. Like the one that they showed was you're going towards a track that's themed on Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
As in the arcade game.
Yes.
So it has, once you get to the track, you're going up ramps and avoiding barrels. right. But it's like Robo Space Donkey Kong or something, which is so cool. But anyway, it wasn't clear to me, maybe I wasn't paying enough attention, really, where you transition between the motorway and the track itself.
I'm more interested in what it does at that point. Like, does it, if you're in solo play, presumably it just pings all the CPU cars to be with you, but then it's like, what was the point? Again, comes back to my point. What was the point in the transition drive?
Well, that wouldn't make any sense.
I mean, I am just assuming that the transition drive
because you don't want the race to just be one massive race between all of them. Because if someone gets ahead, you're never catching them, and that's annoying.
Yeah,
right?
It's going to surely have to reset you. That's why I'm thinking that like you're going to do the normal circuit race. It's going to go through the finishing, tallying up the points thing. Then it will reset everyone onto the starting grid of that track, but you'll just drive off the track onto the transition in a transitional race, and then maybe that race will be worth like half points or something. I mean, so it doesn't matter as much.
Yeah, it'd be way cooler if it is worth something.
Yeah,
and it's not just a.
I mean, I am hoping that's how that's going to work.
It'd be cool if it was like qualifying for the
make it a sprint race basically.
Yeah, that's kind of neat. Yeah, I could get behind that.
But I just can't remember. I was expecting it to, but went from watching it. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention, but it seemed like a seamless transition into the track itself, which is weird. I would have.
Yeah, I imagine they must be doing some trickery with the CPUs you can't see or something. If that's what they're doing.
For CPUs, sure, but for multiplayer, we'll have to just it will just have to time you out at a certain point, or otherwise everyone will be waiting forever.
Did they explicitly say that? Well, they didn't. At least in the main Switch 2 Direct, again, I haven't seen the extra footage, but like they didn't explicitly say whether the championships would involve the transitionary drives in multiplayer. They said you could free roam in multiplayer, and they said you could do the which I think is a cool idea, the outrun style point to point elimination race, right?
I mean, I have to assume that it's just going to be the same in multiplayer. I don't think there would be any reason for them to have it be completely different, operate completely differently if it's multiplayer.
Then they're going to have something, right? They're going to have some way of,
that's just
or
some
weight,
we don't know,
or some system in order to pull players back together again.
What I'm more worried about in terms of things that we still don't know. Oh, and by the way, there's going to be
there's a whole
Mario Kart Direct coming up next week, so it's going to solve all these questions.
Yeah, presumably all of this conjecture will be just thrown away.
But the thing that I'm worried about is like what is in the open world. Like,
what are the secrets to find?
Are we going Burnout Paradise, right? Are we going like billboards and jumps?
Yeah.
Except in Mario's case, it will be, mainly just jumps, probably.
Oh, but they won't have a Forza rewind button, so you can try it again easily if you cock it up.
They might.
I mean, I hope that'd be great.
Because there are two kinds of things that you can get in this open world, which is like either there's the pointless version. Well, no, not really pointless. The exploration version, which is what Burnout had with like billboards and stunt jumps and whatever, where you're just like finding all the different routes essentially, which would be really cool, especially if they did it in basically like you'd get the Mario Odyssey moons list, but then it's like a Tony Hawk Gap list.
Oh yeah,
where it just gives you a vague name of a place to jump from and to, and you have to work out where the line is, or like a grind or a wall ride, because those are things now. Just make them gaps.
I mean, this I like.
That would be real cool.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that is obviously the other thing they could put in the open world is like all the car parts, basically.
Oh, right. Yeah, of course. All of the customization options.
Yes. And I do suspect that's sort of already the case because of the costume change.
Yeah, what did you think that was about? Like, because it happened dynamically in the race.
Yes.
Like,
and this is another thing that you see very slightly in one of the game chat screens, because there's a bit where where the guy is just parked up next to one of those burger joints, and you can see that the pickup is like a golden burger bag, basically.
Huh.
So evidently you pick that up, then you get the burger, then you eat it, then it changes the costume. But I'm wondering if that is literally how you unlock those, and it's just something you can do in a race, or you could go to the free roam and find them that way. Like, because it's not like a normal power-up pickup. It's not like a question mark block.
Yeah, what does it even do? Like,
yeah, I mean, does it do anything at all, I guess, is the question in that case. Or is it just like inconvenience yourself in order to get this in the process of this race rather than doing it in a free roam?
It does acquiring the circuit-specific costume give you some benefit because you're acclimatized to the environment?
I reckon you can probably only find those food bags at the diners on the motorways between the courses.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking too. Like, there's just going to be a bunch of those, not necessarily always diners, maybe like a food truck or whatever, spread out in all the mid-line roads.
Yeah, maybe it just unlocked. That's maybe what we were just watching was just the unlock, right?
Yeah. And that's the other thing I'm also wondering about that is that the logical way to do it would be to have basically one of those on every one of the joining roads between the tracks. Yeah. But then the question is, like, could they be character specific then? Like, if there's a shit ton of these all over the world, would the power-up only appear if you were playing the right character?
Oh, I see. Right, yeah.
To make the free roam more worthwhile in that case. Because you're like, if I want to get the Boo costumes, I play as Boo, I go to free roam, and I go to all the different burger places I know
so everyone has a themed costume, right? So we saw Peach's cowboy outfit, for instance. It's like, okay, if Peach picked it up, she gets it. If Boo picks it up.
Well, yeah, either that or they are actually very character specific. Like, this burger joint only has the pickup if you're playing as Boo.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I doubt it. I bet it's more that, like, you get a costume for your character that you're playing, and then the more you play that character, the more you get customizations for that character because you like them, right?
Sure, but then that would make it too easy to get those. If you could just basically grind the same one over and over. Just like
that would be kind of annoying as well. Like, I was like, okay, now I'm going to have to do that as Mario. Now I'm going to have to do that as Luigi. Now I'm going to have to do that.
You're going to have to do that anyway, presumably.
I mean, that's never really been a thing in Mario Kart before. Having to actually play as every character hasn't really been a thing.
Yeah, but it's only cosmetic, so they can probably get away with it.
Yeah, maybe they will.
Assuming it doesn't have any extra effects.
It would just be a new
collectible.
Well, not just that. It would be a new thing for Mario Kart to force you to do that.
Sure. But that's what the open world's for, surely. That's why it's like we're wondering about the potential collectathon aspect of the open world. Because just having a big open world that you can just drive around in, that's just pointless. Who's going to do that?
Yeah. I wonder if they've made... Yeah, there'll definitely be things to find and things to do, presumably. We don't know what those are, but they've said there is stuff of some description. We haven't even talked about the fact that you just drove into the back of a semi-truck and then you're driving the truck. It's like...
Presumably you're not driving the truck, it's just a sequence like the Bullet Bills.
Oh, that would be disappointing. That would be like I would want to drive that truck for a bit and ram people off the road.
What I want to know is what happens when you stop driving the truck. Does it just like explode and you fly back out of it?
Yeah, how does the car come out? And what other ones of there is like? Is that the only one like that? Are there other vehicles they're going to do that with?
I mean, presumably there will be other ones sort of like that. I mean, obviously there's already a bunch of, like, you can see it where there's just like vehicles that are basically barrel cannons where you just drive into it and it shoots you out. I mean, those have been in previous Mario Karts to some extent. At least trucks with boost ramps on them.
Yeah, trucks with ramps.
Which is essentially the same thing as a barrel cannon.
Yeah, I guess.
And that's the other slight interesting thing that they could do with the open world in between areas, between the tracks, is like how much randomization is there going to be in potentially in that? None? Possibly, because it's Nintendo. But they could easily have like the trackside obstacles and stuff like that chuck that's kicking a football over the track or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Those could be randomized. Like it could be a chuck or it could be a piranha plant or something. Like that would make those adding randomization would increase the replayability of that stuff.
What do you think to the kind of talking about similar note? What do you think to some of the shots they showed where like characters appeared to have abilities relevant to them? Like, so we saw a hammer bro driving a cart, right?
Well, I mean, presumably that's
throwing hammers.
Presumably that's going back to like the character specific power ups of Double Dash, right?
Yeah.
there'll be one power-up that every character has that is specific to them. Which would be insane with this many characters.
Well, yeah.
Also, we haven't talked about that yet. Be a cow.
Be a cow, yeah.
Be a cataquack.
Be a Goomba.
Be a cataquack.
Okay, yeah, those are cool.
Apparently, they had an event for journalists to try out and people were playing Mario Kart, and like at least half the people were playing as the cow.
Of course.
Obviously.
I mean, if you were going on one of these events, you want to try the new stuff, right?
No. Well, yeah,
As much as characters matter at all in Mario Kart, of course.
Yeah, I wonder, with that bit, obviously it's a bigger starting roster, presumably, if they're doing this, to add, like, the bad guys as drivers, to cater for 24, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
I kind of hope that there is some amount of, like, different karts and different characters have dramatically, or at least enough of a feel of difference.
I mean,
because in fairness, Mario Kart 8 there were plenty of options. Like, the difference they made always felt very slight.
Well, what I'm wondering is, so I get the feeling that they'll probably drop the characters having an effect, but they probably will keep, like...
So no weight classes.
Yeah, no weight classes or anything like that. They'll probably keep the kart parts having an effect, and doubly so if they're unlockable through, like, exploring the open world or whatever. They'll probably make even more specific ones. But they also showed that in like when you're first seeing it going through different environments where it's like, oh, here's the boat mode or whatever, they show a bit on the ski mountain one where it looks like a snowmobile. The kart that Rosalina is driving looks like a snowmobile, so it's got like tracks and skis at the front. But later on in one of the other scenes they show Luigi driving a bike-esque thing, but the back wheel of it is a track. And I'm wondering if that is also going to be, like, they're going to have environment-specific bonuses to parts. Like, the tracked vehicles do better in the snowy/desert areas rather than the pure road areas, maybe? Or something like that. And then, like, later on they also show Daisy driving a vehicle that still looks mostly like a boat, even though it's on land. So I'm wondering if, like, maybe those could have bonuses that are that specific, to be like, these have a slight bonus to when they're driving in this kind of environment. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's too specific. Would be sort of cool. Also, how do you power slide with a track?
Right, yeah.
But you do, apparently. So yeah, I'm expecting that the vehicle parts are still going to have stats, and they're probably going to be unlockable from the open world exploration. But we'll see in like 10 days' time when they do a whole fucking direct about it, and all these questions will be answered. And this whole hour of podcast we've just made is completely irrelevant.
It's a fun hour though. You get to tear us apart.
We get to tear ourselves apart.
Yeah,
In the podcast where we're like, we were all wrong.
We were so wrong.
Well, I think it looks really good.
Yes.
I wasn't expected to be excited about Mario Kart, and I am. I'm pretty hype. Get a hype.
I mean, I'm doing my usual thing. Like, yeah, I definitely have concerns, but on the whole,
You'd like to say the nay.
a new Mario Kart. It's been a while, man. I like me some Mario Kart, but like...
I mean, the question ahead of time was like, what can they do? Like, Mario Kart 8 already has everything, and it looks great, and it plays well. Like, what can they do?
It had everything. You know, we've played other kart races, like Transformed, and it was just like, yeah, it'd be cool if it did that. Turns out they've done most of it. Or they do it, or they're going to try and do most of it, so...
Yeah, it's cool. I like the concept of, like, a Mario Forza Horizon.
Yeah.
75 quid though.
I thought we weren't going to talk about prices yet.
I think now's the time.
God
I think now's the time.
Oh, we bring it in now.
Because Mario Kart is the one price we know for definite. Well, okay, that's not true. We know Breath of the Wild as well, or the Switch 2 editions of those.
And Donkey Kong, that got a price as well.
Oh, in the UK?
Yeah.
I didn't see the UK price. Okay.
Is it the same as Mario Kart?
I think it's less.
Yeah.
Mario Kart's the more expensive
Mario
one.
Kart definitely holds the premium. But, £75.
I think that
is that the physical or the digital? Because the digital one's cheaper.
Good question. I think that's the physical.
Yeah, because when I looked at the prices, the physical version is on Nintendo's official website. The physical price is £8 more in both cases.
Yeah, because it was $10 more, because it's $80 and $90 in the US.
I heard
$90 for the physical.
I heard
physical
90 might not
America,
actually be correct. It might be the other way.
Oh, right, so that $80 was the physical.
Higher one, yeah.
Right.
Physical. Yeah.
Here we go. £75 physical, 67 for the digital.
Right.
But only 35 if you manage to bag the bundle.
Well, sure, but that doesn't really count. Bundles do not influence what the price of the actual game should be.
No, it shouldn't do.
My
Also,
question-
good luck pre-ordering a Switch 2, by the way. Like, it's already hell out there.
Well, I mean,
I
they
think
haven't
you've gotta
opened
try.
pre-orders even for Nintendo's site yet.
Yeah, most of the third parties are open in the UK.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. That means getting a queue for a mailing list.
At the moment, yeah. Those queues are already full.
So my question, jumping up from Mario Kart World being £75 or $80, is how much will Grand Theft Auto 6 actually be? It will be 100,
Yeah.
but will it be more?
They're going to
will it be $120?
They're going to be looking at Mario Kart and being like, "Oh yeah, that game's successful. We can do that." That's just how it
They
would go.
could easily do that with GTA 6. They could probably do $120 and still.
See, I don't. The market for GTA 6 will be smaller. Naturally
It's the biggest-
smaller. Yes, it's multi-platform, but let's not forget Mario Kart 8 is by far the biggest selling game ever.
Well, sure, but it was on sale for like a really long time also.
And GTA makes most of its money from GTA Online, not through single sales. Yes, it's sold a lot, don't get me wrong, but most of the GTA revenue comes from GTA Online. It's hard to tell whether Rockstar would have are going to just be like, yeah, we can do that, we can pull that off, of course we are, we're Rockstar, it's GTA, or if they are taking the account of no, we want more people in the game because we'll make more money,
essentially.
with the potential to gain them into whatever new GTA Online is, or even if it's just a gateway to old GTA Online. I don't know. We don't know how that's going to work yet either. Which one of those two things is more valuable to them? Yeah, I think it's a real toss up. They could do either.
Just looking up the numbers: Mario Kart 8, 75 million; Grand Theft Auto 5, 210 million.
Sales, you mean?
Sales, yeah. Minecraft, 350 million. Number one by far.
Yeah.
Wii Sports beats Mario Kart 8 slightly on 82 million.
But that includes all the pack-ins, presumably.
I really
I guess it
I
does.
thought Mario Kart 8 had eclipsed everything now. Are you talking 8 or 8 Deluxe as well? 'Cause there's
It's
that
8
distinction.
/ Deluxe.
Both,
It's
yeah.
both. So according to Wikipedia. So Grand Theft Auto 5 was, more than about 3 times.
But Grand Theft Auto 5 also had like a lot of sales and stuff and pack-ins as well, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and it's been out longer, right?
Well,
much.
has it much?
Wow.
Probably close to the same.
I mean, 8's over 10 years old.
Oh yeah,
now.
it's close to the same. Yeah, 2013, 2014. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, Grand Theft Auto beats Mario Kart handily.
Okay, fine. But how? How? Because that game is such a... Okay, it's a big game, but surely the appeal is much smaller than Mario Kart, just in terms of like the audience that can actually play it.
Yeah, but Mario Kart is a
just the reality.
Nintendo product on a Nintendo system, and Grand Theft Auto is on all the other ones, for a start.
That's disappointing. No, I mean legitimately, because... Anyway.
And also Nintendo is the child's game. I mean, wait, what am I saying? GTA is the child's game. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, that's why
Anyway,
I thought, like,
so
as I say, the audience is
expensive.
much bigger for Kart, because it's just... more people can play it. They'll probably do it.
Yeah.
I think they'll probably do it, and then
It'll be at least
video
100
games will
quid.
collapse, and it will be the end.
We'll see.
I'm really super over this conversation at this point. Maybe it's just because I've watched so many goddamn YouTube videos this week, but I'm like so done with the price conversation.
But it is, it is infuriating. Like that is too much money.
And then there's the cost of the console itself, right? We can talk about now.
Yeah, which is
if we're going to do the price
in the UK, it's £400, which actually is way less than I thought it was going to be.
$429, I think.
That's the bundle.
No, I thought it was $450 the bundle.
I just looked that up, and I'm pretty sure it just said $400 for the base and $420 for the bundle.
Oh yeah, $430. Well, $429 for the bundle, according to Amazon, but that could be wrong.
John Lewis are also selling at those prices.
Well, it's on the official Nintendo site as well, but
yeah.
I don't remember.
That's pretty good. That's better than I expected.
It is better than I expected, yeah, because the the US numbers were 450 and
500.
500, yeah.
Yeah.
and then the other thing is theoretical US numbers also.
Yeah, the jump off conversation is I don't. So personally, myself, it really matters to Nintendo and whether it'll be a success. The price, of course, it does, and it matters to majority of people. But me personally, in my weird position now of being 40 or whatever, I don't care at all. And the more expensive it is, and the higher quality, but I'd rather pay more for higher quality, which is what they seem to be delivering with all this. Better hardware and better
Nintendo tax usually means. It's like that's what the Nintendo tax is. It's a quality tax.
Yeah, usually. But they don't. Often there's a compromise in the performance compared to and they seem to be doing that less. Like it seems to be pretty. It seems to have all the performance that I hope for, and that makes it expensive, which could be bad for the whole its sales, and it could be bad for Nintendo. But I'm fine with it. But also, it being a higher base price means those Trump tariffs will hurt the Americans even more because they are going to be so pissed off that they have to pay $600 for this thing, and it's their own fucking fault.
Yeah, that's
and I'm happy about that. That makes me laugh.
That's the secret source of this whole thing.
Yeah, you assholes voted for that shit, so and that won't and we'll be okay.
Well, for now.
So it seems, yeah, at the moment.
We'll see. Maybe stock shortages will happen in some weird way and we'll all get screwed.
Yeah, probably. But the stock things and a thing every time, isn't it? I managed to get a Switch.
Yeah, I did as well.
I got a Switch pretty quick as well.
Yeah, so I'm gonna give it a go. So get this anyway. So,
but last time they didn't really do these pre-orders from the moment it was announced thing. Like last time it was all quite gated towards near and Sony and Microsoft do this as well, right, where everything is quite close to release when it all announces, and this hasn't happened this time.
As far as I remember from 2017, which obviously was a long time ago, I'm pretty sure I just went on Amazon and put a pre-order on Amazon and that was it.
Yeah, I don't think I pre-ordered. I think I just bought it on pretty close to launch, and it wasn't a problem.
Yeah, yes. So they clearly had stock, and it wasn't. But
down to Argos.
In this, in this time, it feels like, even though there's no reason to think this, it feels like there's going to be shortages.
Yeah, I think there will be.
I think there will be. Yeah, but got to give it a try. So that's my general feeling. I mean, we'll talk about more of the games and everything. Is that all the good things I'm way hype about, and all the bad things, which are bad things, I don't really care about.
My opinion about price is that I've heard all of the arguments plenty enough at this point, and if Nintendo think they can sell enough games at $80 to make the amount of profit their shareholders want, then that's what's going to happen. And if you don't like the game, if you think the game isn't worth $80, then don't fucking buy it.
Then don't buy it.
But then it's not like other games, like the Nintendo tax is a real thing, right? Because it's not unlike other games, depreciation or the second-hand market isn't really a viable way in.
That is still the one thing that Nintendo should. Maybe this time they will. Maybe this will be the time when actual sales happen on the Nintendo store.
Yeah,
like Steam.
It seems very unlikely. They're on top of the world right now, and that's usually when.
Well, maybe
these things stop.
Maybe that will be what the $80 barrier will do. Maybe they will be like, "Oh, we didn't actually sell as many of these things as we thought we would, so we'll start putting it on sale and knock that price down a bit."
But I don't. Again, very un-Nintendo thing. Price cuts doesn't really happen. not like they get a permanent cut, right? That kind of thing just isn't
That's just
a
like
thing.
every Steam sale, though. Everything goes down to 10% of its normal price and then goes back to regular between the sales. But there's sales all the time, so it doesn't really make any difference.
I do think it's too much. I think it's way too much. I think they're pushing their luck if they think and yeah, a lot of the internet does seem to agree, but it's bold. Let's put it that way. It's bold.
I'm the one pricing thing that I do think is going to be the real concern is like is the expansion. I mean, upgrade packs. Like
the edition.
I really want to know what
those
those
have
are.
got to be pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Especially,
I heard $10 is what I heard,
Yeah.
which would be fine.
If it's that acceptable, yeah, agree.
I mean, I will be spending $10 on Breath of the Wild and $10 on Tears of the
yes,
Kingdom.
obviously.
And yeah, but you know,
And then that also extends to the Switch 2 edition of games. Not that that's going to be a thing that anyone cares about for very long, because that's going to be a thing of the past before very long. But if they just add the $10 on top of the normal price of those Switch 1 games prices, then that seems fine too for the Switch 2 editions.
those are weird. Did you hear that? Apparently, I mean, this is bad, but apparently they've got Switch 2 packaging, and then inside there's a Switch 1 cart and a code to download the patch, right?
I mean, sure, I guess for the games
Which
that
makes sense.
work like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Manufacturing wise,
there was
why
some-
would you make a new cart?
There were some unconfirmed rumors floating around that the carts are going to start acting a little bit like how Xbox does them, and that the discs, they do have the game content on, but you still need to actually download the game locally. Like, they don't run off the cart, which makes that whole 256 gig storage space seem rather limited.
Well, I mean, it was 256 gigs was always going to be limited for all the third-party games, which are going to be gigantic and are not going to fit on the cart regardless.
Yeah, it does feel pretty limited. Although, they're not wrong. 8 times bigger than Switch 1, but
Yes.
still, doesn't feel like a lot.
How much of those in practice would it be to get like a terabyte one of those micro?
I have no idea.
SD?
Supposedly, those new grade EX or whatever cards aren't actually super much more expensive even now.
Right.
Micro SD Express,
Yeah.
right?
You might not be able to get like a super large one immediately.
A terabyte's £100.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Not cheap.
Not
but
cheap.
And
Oh
obviously,
wait, no, that's
you
not.
get a lot of
Sorry,
games on
that's not an Express edition. What are we looking at here? Oh, £50 for 128 gig.
that's much worse.
Yeah, that is worse.
That's much worse.
And obviously, it sucks that you can't use the previous ones.
Okay, that's not a great price. That goes as low as 38 for 128 gig.
Okay, well, that's still not great.
Still not great, but I mean, it's not terrible. It's not super terrible. It's not like buying an SSD for
Sure.
an Xbox, I guess. those are quite expensive.
The one last thing I hope that I'm going to say about pricing is like, shit, I forgot what it was in the middle of that sentence. Fuck. God damn
I
it.
hope it's the last thing we have to talk about pricing.
Yeah, I hope it is. Ugh.
256 cards are the price. Are the happy medium? Apparently, they're about £50. 256 gigs
Right.
for to double your expansion will cost you
For 50 quid.
Will cost you
That
50
seems
quid.
okay. And that will only get cheaper, right?
Yeah, if
Over time.
you go above that, then the pound per megabyte ratio starts getting worse.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
That
the other thing I
seems
was going to say about
right.
pricing. So the theoretical £8 difference between physical and digital, that's obviously MSRP because none of this shit is on sale yet.
Sure.
And I'm wondering whether that is actually basically going to go away. Because, like, every time I've bought a regular Switch game, I've just gone to Amazon, and the physical version has almost always been about, like, a couple of quid cheaper than the digital version on Nintendo Store.
Yeah, usually.
So I'm wondering if that extra £8 is essentially just going to disappear because
retailers aren't
are just
sell
going
it.
to sell it at the price that the digital one is because they want to sell things for money.
Depends, doesn't it? They do tend to hit MSRP on launch.
Yeah.
But then sometime after that, will retailers just go, hell no?
Yeah, I mean, no one's going to buy it from them if it's that much more expensive, obviously.
Yeah.
That would be the logical result of that situation. But, you know, we'll see. I'm just saying, I don't know if that price difference was already a thing for Switch 1, and I've just never noticed it because
I don't think it was. No, I think actually the physical tended to be, as you said, tended to be the better
not
value.
tended to be. I mean, whether the MSRP of those was like that,
Right?
and we just never knew about it because the
don't
physical
think so.
retailers like Amazon just negated that anyway.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think they were always same.
Well, we'll see, I guess. Hopefully we'll be able to continue to buy the game cartridges from Amazon and then not have to worry about so much the storage space inside the Switch, assuming that most of these games still run in the majority on the card.
Nobody knows how they taste, though.
Yeah, that's the other question. Got to get that physical edition and lick it.
Gotta lick it.
I did see someone say that apparently Mario Kart World is like 24 gigs.
Oh, wow. That's quite small.
Yeah, I mean, that's typical Nintendo efficiency, I guess.
Yeah, contained. All right. We better crap through some more stuff.
We better get through all the other games in this thing.
Yeah. What else we got? What should we talk about? I thought the Mario Party Jamboree extras they were adding to make use of the camera and the microphone looked awful.
Well, of course they were going to be.
Welcome to early Connect gaming again. Welcome to iToy gaming, actually. Like PlayStation 2 era stuff. Like, ugh, yeah, not good. Why are you doing that?
Because it's Mario Party, that's why.
Yeah, it's Mario Party. Fucking Mario Party.
Drag and drive. How about using not one mouse but two mice to control the wheels of a wheelchair and play basketball with it? It's like, okay, seems like, you know, I can get that. That's a valid idea to do with those things.
Yeah.
I thought Drag and Drive looked bad.
Yeah,
as a game.
It's like for a Nintendo product, it's like entirely joyless. It's like there's no style to it at all.
Oh man, yeah. At least with ARMS, you had characters and you had the you had
colour
and yeah. Like what is with this like post-apocalyptic robot basketball? Like it's pretty odd. And also, I want to just like we didn't really talk about it earlier, but like the practicality of using
mouse
the
mode
mice,
anywhere, yes.
Yeah, like it's not a couch gaming, it's not a mobile gaming thing. Like it's actually pretty difficult to set up where you're going to use mice. Like everyone's going to get like big old lap trays.
Well, everyone's saying hopefully you'll just be able to do it on your thighs.
Oh, that sucks.
Well, yeah, obviously.
That's always sucked. Yeah. I mean, I remember trying to do that with mice in the past, and it's like...
Sure, but that's a mouse, not a Joy-Con.
Works the same way.
It's a different shape, though.
I'll tell you what, it would be very annoying if you try it with Metroid Prime 4 and it's easier to play and aim that way, but then it's uncomfortable, and then you feel annoyed going back to normal.
So
that would be annoying.
I actually just want the lock-on from Metroid Prime.
Yes,
though. Like,
I actually just want Metroid Prime to work like Metroid Prime.
Yeah, because we got pointer control with Metroid Prime 3 on the Wii, and it's like it was fine, but actually I just want to go back to how it used to play.
And just to bring up this one other thing about mouse controls, as we're, I guess, finishing off the mouse control game, in a similar vein to being able to use any USB-C camera, do you reckon there's any chance at all that Nintendo will let you plug a normal mouse in?
No, not a chance.
No, I don't think so either.
No,
not even a keyboard. You know.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about a mouse for these mouse games, like Civ. Also,
not a chance in hell.
I think it's unlikely. Unless they release their own stupid mouse in 2 years, right?
Mario Paint's back, mouse. But they won't because they've got mice.
Yeah, and then they literally do Mario Paint. I mean,
the one obvious reason for it not to be not to be allowed would be that Nintendo's mouse mode also includes gyroscopes for twist.
True, we didn't.
Whereas a normal mouse wouldn't be able to do that.
That's true. We didn't talk about that. You can twist the mouse, and it knows which way the orientation of how you're holding it.
That's why they'd make a Pro mouse.
Yes, exactly. That's why if there is going to be a separate mouse, it will be a Nintendo branded specific mouse.
They could do that, but not for a while.
I really hope like that in most games that does nothing except just move rotate the cursor
icon. Yeah.
I really hope that's all it does.
I mean, it would be pretty cool if it did something in Metroid, like you could actually change weapon or something by rotating.
Oh, what do you think you'd like be like going like gangster style with your gun or something?
Yeah.
Like holding it on the side. Blah!
You turn it, and then that's what turns it into the wave beam if you're holding it gangster style.
Waves are well gangster, man. Oh man, I mean, don't rule it out.
No.
It could very well happen. What else we got? We didn't actually talk about the release date, June 5th.
Sure. Well, we did talk about it because they also just randomly threw it in at the start.
Yeah, well,
Yay.
like sort of.
Yeah, not super at the start.
No, it was like a third of the way through because a lot of the trailers leading up to it would be like, and this is coming out when Switch 2 launches.
Yes.
And then they said, and it's June 5th.
Yeah.
Like, there was some debate actually that, a lot of those trailers were prepped with, like, we don't know, and that June 5th was actually quite hot as their release date. They hadn't actually nailed it down, which explained why a lot of the other third-party trailers, right, were just like, we don't know when this is launching. Like, it's when the Switch launches.
Well, but in third parties' cases, presumably that would be more about keeping it a secret.
Yeah,
like, you don't want to leak the
yeah.
information out to every third party what the actual release date is while they're making their trailers.
Presumably, yeah. What else we got? Elden Ring is coming to the console. Some complaints about frame rate on that thing, but no one's quite sure whether that was a bad trailer capture. The assumption is that it was a bad trailer capture.
I mean, you have to assume that about all of these trailers, basically.
There's a few where I think you could put them in that category. Hades 2, obvious. Of course, that was going to come at Switch 2. Street Fighter 6. I mean, yeah, I guess the console can now run it, so why not? And also, amiibos are still a thing.
Yep, somehow.
There's going to be some new Street Fighter amiibos. It's the only mention of amiibos at all.
Yep.
I mean, no one even really knows it's like where the contact point on the Joy-Cons actually is for like amiibos.
Presumably it's in about the same place.
Yeah. What else we got? Split Fiction coming to the console. I guess, can run it now, so why not? Tony Hawk's 3+4. Of course it's coming, but also some contention because the footage they showed there was actually PC footage. It wasn't Switch footage.
Sure. Doubt it would look any different.
Same can be said for Borderlands 4 later on in the show. That was PC footage, not Switch footage. Yeah, that one probably will look different. Hitman is coming. Sure, it makes sense because the only version of Hitman that was on Switch before was the cloud version, which is, interestingly, known to be on the incompatible list.
Oh, sure.
maybe IO don't want you to use that on the Switch too because like maybe they made it. They wouldn't have made it incompatible, but it just like why are cloud versions incompatible? It's kind of
whatever software runs the stream has been incompatible.
Weird, isn't it? It's slightly odd. Bravely Default is getting a remaster.
That's slightly weird because that will actually require work because obviously it used to be a dual screen game where the bottom screen had all your like info and shit on it.
Yeah. It's a proper redo. Yakuza 0, the first Yakuza game, is coming to a Nintendo platform with a director's cut edition that apparently adds some weird multiplayer modes and adds some cutscenes to the game. It's like
that's weird.
Yeah.
To actually add anything to it, specifically for Switch 2.
It doesn't sound like they're doing a full...
not specifically for Switch 2.
Well,
I
don't know if they've said if Director's Cut is coming out anywhere else just yet.
I mean, I don't know if they have, but I imagine it will.
Yeah, I bet it will, but it's not a Kiwami, right? So it's not going to be a complete redo like Kiwami and Kiwami 2 were. So it's, it is just a different version. Oh, but hey, Yakuza on Switch. Welcome to the party, guys.
Yeah.
Don't look back.
I mean, welcome to the party is what you say about every one of these third-party games at this point.
I watched another one of those Like a Dragon episodes.
Oh, right, the TV show.
I thought it's like, I'm not going to convince you to watch another one of those. Let me just watch one. Still bad.
So I don't need convincing is what you're saying.
No, the subtitles at least worked this time with the Japanese audio, so there was that. But it is not the same tone. I don't like. It's got a. They're really playing into the 1995 storyline, which wasn't in the games, just as much as they are the the 2005 storyline, and the two are running parallel to each other, and it doesn't work. They're two separate stories. So it's like, I don't like it. It's not very good, which is a real shame. Hyrule Warriors. Shit, yeah, we're getting another one.
Call me Nostradamus, because I 100% predicted this, even though it was really obvious.
Of course it was going to happen. Of course it was going to happen. Age of Imprisonment makes sense. The Imprisoning War, again, they're doing exactly what they did last time, right? Prequel stuff.
Well, the like obvious question about this is, well, the obvious questions, is it canonical? Because it could be this time.
It could be this time, yeah.
And then expanding from the idea of it being canonical, if it is, how are they going to work a bunch more extra characters in? Where are the hidden characters?
Because that, from the trailer, that is my number one concern, is that, okay, the Warriors of Imprisonment or whatever do not have the same...
they are barely characters.
They're barely characters, and they just don't have the same visual impact or like style of the champions, right, from Breath of the Wild. Like those, they're all dressed the same, they all look the same. Sure. It's like they are uninteresting people.
But are you really looking at the characters when you play the game? It's more about what the moves are.
It's more about what they do, yes, but they are uninteresting. I want to know, but that's always surface level, right, in these games. Those are the ones you know about. What you really want to know is the 3 times that number that are the extras.
But the thing about that is that, like, because this is a completely unknown time period, you can't have any surprises that are like callbacks. I mean, I suppose you could still maybe have the Great Fairies.
Sure.
Because they could probably still exist in the past.
I mean, they'll have to throw Link in. They'll have to...
there's a way for them to deal with Link that neither you or Dad know about, because you never fucking finished Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh, okay, fine.
Spoilers.
Fine.
But also, there is another way I thought of solving... Well, another 4 characters. There is a way you could get the present day champions into the past with it still being canonical, which is to have
the little robot does a thing.
No, you have the ancient heroes be able to summon the avatar versions of the future champions, like how Link can summon the champion avatars in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
So you could still have those characters be in the past, even though it wouldn't technically be those characters. It'd just be like the avatar representation of them.
But it's a long time in the past, right?
Doesn't really matter, does it? Okay. Time travel. But not actually time travel. Canonical allowed amounts of time travel.
Whatever, they'll make it up. It's fine.
Well, if it's not canonical, then do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, exactly. all I want is a fun time. But yeah, get hype. Also, another framey trailer, but
not super bad.
There were definitely moments, but again, I'm unknown whether that was just a capture problem, but slightly less likely to be a capture problem. Let's be honest.
Well, I think the bit that looked more framey was the bit that wasn't gameplay, when it was panning over the hordes of monsters rather than when they were showing people actually fighting.
The panning shots looked bad. Yeah. But anyway, that's this year.
Yeah,
apparently winter this year at the moment. GameCube games are coming to NSO Plus expansion pack. Boo to Plus expansion pack. Well, yeah, that's a thing. And who'd have thought they're putting F-Zero GX as one of the initial titles?
Well, they sold that emulation, evidently.
Yeah. Well, but. Hell yeah. If F-Zero, I mean, they gave F-Zero a little bit of love last year. Let's give F-Zero a bit more love this year. Come on. Everyone play F-Zero GX. Flood the shit out of it. Let's get another F-Zero, people. Come on. Now's the chance.
This is what Rob's enthusiastic about, but obviously...
I mean, I'm not going to play it there.
Well, sure.
but because there's better ways to play F-Zero.
But what everyone else is enthusiastic about is that they've put basically the 3 most expensive GameCube games on there immediately.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, GX is pricey.
Well, not GX.
I mean, GX is pretty pricey.
Sure, but not as much as the other ones. No. Chibi Robo, Gale of Darkness. And
yeah.
I forget what the third one was.
I mean, Wind Waker's coming as well, but that's not an expensive one. But
yeah, Chibi Robo and Gale of Darkness are fucking expensive games to get a hold of if you want the actual GameCube versions.
Yeah, they are. But they're not the launch lineup, right? They're coming at some future date?
Yes. Those are like the next ones after launch, I suppose.
Oh, okay. Right. So not far away.
Yeah.
I mean, I never played Chibi Robo might be cool to play.
But you're not going to have the expansion pass anyway.
There's other ways to play it. Sure. And they're going to make a wireless GameCube controller to go with it, but only if you're only be able to buy it if you're an expansion pass holder.
Which they did for the previous ones, obviously.
Yeah, they've done for their other controllers as well.
The anti-scalping measure that it is.
Yeah. Borderlands 4, we talked about before. Civ 7, yep, sure, you've got mice, why not? Yeah. 2K Games are going to be putting their sports games out on Switch. Sure, why
You
not?
skipped right over EA, of course, but like
That was a nothing.
success. You skipped over EA.
That was a
As you
nut.
do.
That was a nut. They didn't even show it. Well, I
No.
mean, 2K didn't either, in fairness.
No.
But
Football and football.
yeah, some survival kids get kid. That was what it was called, survival kids,
yes.
right?
That got a weird amount of trailer.
it was a long trailer,
for
yeah.
this random bit of montage.
All right, I need to know how you feel about Enter the Gungeon 2.
I feel boo is what I feel.
That's what I thought too. Like, yes, we're getting an Enter the Gungeon, but no, you went 3D.
You did the exact same mistake that Wizards of Legend did, where you made it 3D and it lost all the personality. Well, not all the personality. I think Enter the Gungeon's done a better job.
Yeah, the bullets, just the raw design of the bullets has character on its own.
Yes,
but
still not as good as the pixel art.
yeah. I mean, it just looked okay. Early footage.
Yeah.
But it looked pretty hard to read
Well, the thing about that is that
because of the 3D perspective.
the bit that they showed in that 10 seconds of trailer that they showed in this montage specifically, that's not the gameplay camera angle.
Okay,
They
fair.
show it later on very briefly in the other montage. They show the Gatling gun boss fight for like a split second, and it's the normal top-down
Oh, so
perspective.
they're bringing old bosses back.
Well, sure.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, that's why everyone was weirdly I don't understand why people were fooled by that exact. Well, no, I do understand why people were fooled by that.
Cinematic look.
But yes,
yeah.
it's not that angle in the actual game.
Good.
But there's damage numbers now. I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah.
That's just already weird.
Yeah, what is there some RPG other mechanics going on to see buff guns without
Well,
them,
I mean, technically, it might sometimes even in regular guns be nice to know how much damage your bullets do, but it wasn't necessary.
no. All right, Starseeker Astroneer Expeditions.
Yeah,
What is this?
This is apparently a completely new game that they've been working on this whole time and haven't talked about, as far as I know. And I would know because I have the Astroneer feed on my Steam because I played Astroneer. And I think they've occasionally mentioned that they are working on another project, but this is now when it's been revealed to be what it is. And as far as they've said, it's a separate thing entirely, and it's kind of different in the gameplay. It's not like the Astroneer base building / sort of survival thing.
Okay.
It's more I don't think they've even described it that well, but it's definitely a sort of a mission-y kind of thing, still multiplayer. I don't know if that
So not really persistent worlds.
Yeah, maybe. And I don't know if that trailer footage is representative of is it going to be that many multiplayer, or is it
Right,
the
'cause it's
team of 4 that they focus on at the end?
Right, so yeah, there's quite a lot of people in that, some of those shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, I don't know really what that is about, but yes, it's a completely separate Astroneer game. So it's just got the Astroneer style, but it's not really anything to do with the original Astroneer.
Cyberpunk's getting a new version, a new edition, and it's getting released on the Switch. This is primarily interesting because it has the DLC pack included.
Yeah.
And they didn't do the DLC pack for Xbox One and PS4 editions. So technically that means they must have backported or downgraded that edition in order to make it run on Switch. So they put the work in anyway eventually. It was one of those trailers as well where everyone's sort of scratching their heads a little bit to be like, it can't possibly look like that on the Switch, can it? Because it looked good, if that footage is to be believed.
Well,
and they specifically showed a shot of it in handheld,
Sure.
and it looked good.
I mean, you say they showed a shot of the handheld. They superimposed the screen over the handheld
of it
shape.
in handheld mode. Yes, that's what they did. Yes,
But I mean, I obviously I haven't played it, so I don't have nearly as good a visual as Rob should have on this. But it didn't look it looked downgraded, obviously.
sure. But what I mean is it looked considerably. Okay, yes, I think it's fair to say at this point the Switch 2 is probably more powerful than a Steam Deck,
Sure.
From what we've seen so
maybe
far.
close.
But it looked better than how it run. I haven't run it myself, but I've seen footage of Cyberpunk running on Steam Deck, and it's it looked better than that.
But is that just because it's native essentially on the Switch? Could that make the difference?
Possibly. Maybe it's a translation-y thing and power is being lost there on Steam Deck, but Steam Deck's translation is pretty good. Anyway, yeah, just interesting. Also, if kind of a major achievement if this is as good as it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII is coming to a non-Sony or PC platform, finally. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade will be released on Switch, leaving Xbox owners scratching their heads, being, where's our copy, yo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked exactly like the PS4 version of the game, which is on target with what the Switch 2 is supposedly capable of, so that's cool. Silk Song turned up
in the extra tiny montage.
It did still say 2025 on its date tag.
My league points, yes.
Get hype.
Also, and I know they wouldn't have made a big deal of this, but there's a new fast racing game coming.
Yeah.
So much hype.
That's the F-Zero that Rob will actually get.
Oh my god! If I was having some doubts about getting a Switch, about pricing concerns,
this is the one game, one system for you.
Suddenly, fuck that shit. Fast Fusion is coming.
Okay.
I am buying that game. Oh my god. Because it's a new one. It's not like they did.
Not an update or anything.
Yeah, and like Fast RMX was, which was just an updated version of Fast Racing Neo from the Wii U. Also, with fantastic games, but you know, we finally a sequel, and I'm oh my god. Weirdly juxtaposed with Namco Arcade Archives Ridge Racer.
What is that doing in this montage again?
It's like, have they done that before? Have they put out the arcade version of Ridge Racer before? I don't know that they have.
Yeah, maybe not. But then, still, why is it in this montage?
Why is it in this montage? Yeah, I mean, there was a bunch of other stuff here as well.
Yes,
but
this is the double montage where it's the you get 3 seconds.
Yeah, like really tiny snippets, and then possibly I mean, again, for us, we're not huge From Software people,
no,
but the gaming industry at large and the world very much are. So colour them excited when a Switch 2 exclusive from Software is announced. The Dusk Bloods, which is coming out next year.
Seemingly a spiritual successor to Bloodborne.
Seemingly, yeah.
Well,
but people seem to think it's going to play a little bit more like Night Rain, which news, I suppose. We now know a bit more about what Night Rain actually is, right? It's like a arcadey, somewhat Fortnite-y, or Fortnite mechanically inspired version of these things, like drop in, drop out style game.
I mean, people are calling it like PvPvE in the same way as Halo did, I guess, where you're going to go and fight the bosses, but there's also other people there, and then the end is kill them.
Yeah, something like that. So that's interesting. Yeah, Night Rain was kind of working like there's circles that are encroaching, but there's bosses all over the map as well, and it's
presumably it'll be like harvest the bosses to level up your stats or whatever before you end up in the PvP fight.
Yeah, I guess. So that's interesting. Slightly less interesting, Kirby Air Riders was announced. Okay, great. A Sakurai directed game. Great.
That's just good. That's just good for Sakurai. That's literally no one else in the world needs to care about it. Just Sakurai gets to make it.
It was also the only trailer, I think, in the entire thing that was allowed to have a pure CG trailer.
Sure.
Right.
It was the only one that was allowed that.
It even had his weird little logo from his video series.
It did, yeah.
The Sakurai logo.
To tie it in with, hey, that's the thing I was working on this entire time when you thought I was making these videos, but it was all a lie.
He was making those videos. Sure.
Yeah, but he
made all those up front, right? Before they even started coming out.
Sure. I mean,
anyway, we're getting. I never played Air Ride.
No.
People seem to think it's alright, but not great.
I mean, it was one of those niche GameCube games that if you like it, you like it.
I did wonder why he talked about it. I know it was his game, but I did wonder why he talked about it so much during the video series.
It's because it was his game, and because it was that niche, slightly unusual design, I suppose.
Yeah.
I guess it gives him a lot of reflection.
Yeah,
he can be like, okay, because it was weird, what can I can I say was good and what can I say was bad about it? One of those.
Because he kind of does that with all of the Kirby games as well, even though the Kirby games are much more sort of more standardly obvious platformers. But he will always talk about the subtle changes he made to try and make Kirby function better or whatever.
Yes, he knows. He knows them.
Yes, he knows them inside out.
Yeah. And finally, Donkey Kong, best subtitle ever, Bonanza.
Banana.
Banana.
That better be the sound effect that plays every time you get a shine equivalent. A banana.
I think it is.
Banana.
And it even says it. It's spelled out instead of shine get. It says O-O-H, banana.
No, okay.
On the screen.
I haven't even seen that. But...
Yeah, it's awesome.
Banana. Yeah, how we feel about this? Because this is what the Mario team have been working on.
And I don't understand how anyone is confused about this. People are like, oh, they didn't show Mario, it must be coming soon. It's like,
no, this is what they've been doing.
Can you not tell that this is the exact Odyssey engine just by looking at it for 2 seconds?
It very much has that look, doesn't it?
They must have just wanted to do something different, which cool. Okay, cool.
Yeah, great that Ninty let them run with it as well.
Yeah.
I mean shame that we're not getting a Mario anytime soon, but also...
Well, the assumption was, and still is, that the next Mario will be an open world game, but maybe they just felt like, let's put that off a bit longer.
I mean, is this an open world game, sort of?
Yeah. It's like, it has that thing where it zooms out to the map, which is like big, like the Metroid levels or something? I don't know. Right.
Would you call Odyssey technically an open world game?
No.
Open zone.
Yep, there you
go. Yeah, no. Even New Donk City is not open world. It's just they're
large levels.
Yeah.
But they're not like, you're not bound to any specific moon or whatever.
No. Yeah, but I just mean it will be the next Mario game. You will not have to go up into the sky or whatever to transfer to the next zone. You'll just be able to go there. But that is a ways away. But it will happen on Switch too, I reckon. But I think this is,
It'd be madness if it didn't.
Yeah, probably. I mean, there's going to be at least a Mario game on the Switch soon. Not necessarily even that one, but there's going to be one. I
think we're going to get another 2D Mario before we get another 3D Mario.
I would assume that they're going to... I would suspect that they're going to do a Switch 2 edition of Wonder. Like
Wonder
with actual
in 4K
additional
would
content.
Look pretty nice. 4K 120. Oh no, it can't output that.
No, 4K 60, yes.
4K 60. Okay, fine.
How is
awesome.
Wonder is actually 3D models, right? It's not
it's
2D art. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, so that probably would scale quite nicely.
Yeah. Oh, and that game's really good, and you haven't played it.
Nope.
No. So, I mean, I want to, but
Nintendo tax.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like I said at the time, it's the best 2D Mario I've played since Super Mario World.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, the big thing about Donkey Kong is destructible terrain.
Destructible everything.
It's Donkey Kong Derg.
Yeah.
I mean, that looked kind of cool.
Derg.
Yeah, I want to know how some of that actually works, like how it fits into the gameplay, especially that ground pound, and then he just punches a tunnel in the floor. Like, how does that actually end out feeling and playing like? And
it does seem like it slightly loses the camera sometimes if you go totally insane.
But that could just be like cool shots they picked for the trailer. Like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, that first dive obviously is a trailer shot. And then when he does the straight down digging thing and the camera is just like, it's looking through the back polygons or whatever, it's like, that's fine. That makes sense for how you would manage an underground camera.
Yeah.
By the way, this is another one with a ton of high quality treehouse footage. Yeah.
Yes.
Doesn't quite make launch. We'll be out a month later.
Yes.
But
really?
So we can't call it a launch game, but it's
a launch window game.
It's launch window, yeah.
I guess they've got Mario Kart for the launch. So
Indeed, yeah. But that's pretty much all we've got first party, right? Like we've got Mario Kart, and we've got this, and we've got updates. Because they haven't told us. Okay, we skipped over this. We didn't really talk about that Metroid Prime 4 footage. Not a lot really to talk about. They just showed Samus really walking around and shooting a few things. Nothing really.
I thought it was kind of cool that it's not that, at least in that first level, it's It's much more Halo-y and less lonely. You know,
Sure.
there's tons of soldiers around that you're sort of talking to and stuff. That's kind of cool. I like that.
I mean,
I don't know that they do, because
No.
that was kind of the.
I don't think it will last that way. I think that'll
I
be the
really
opening.
hope not, because that was, in some ways, that was one of Metroid Prime 3's
Yep.
problems. It's like the isolation is a core part of the Metroid feel.
Yeah. I reckon it will be, that's just the intro. But still, I thought it was cool.
And we definitely don't want it to
I
turn
doubt
out like Other M.
No.
No. Yeah, and yeah, that's a strong. I know. I think it's quite strong. Mario Kart, Donkey Kong, and then the cross-platform Metroid Prime 4. They're all new, all big games.
Yeah.
And we also
And
didn't
then you've
mention
got-
Pokemon ZA, I guess. That's having
Oh,
a Switch 2 edition, which
is-
will make it actually run good.
It seems to run acceptably. It still kind of looks ass,
Yep.
but runs acceptably.
then
And obviously
Kirby
Silksong.
coming.
Everyone's going to play that on Switch 2, aren't they? Nope.
Everyone will play that everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah. I think it's stronger than I expected, actually. I
mean, this is
without a Mario game. Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I suppose Bonanza was a surprise. Mario Kart was an obvious one. That was definitely going to happen.
I mean, back when we were speculating last year, it was like it either had to be Mario or Mario Kart, and it was Mario Kart. So fine. So then it's like, what else do you get on top? Well, you get a 3D Nintendo platformer from the Mario team. I mean, brilliant.
Yeah. Should be an easy win for those who got it in the league, in your fantasy leagues. Well done, you.
Well done, Zach. You outbid me again.
I only got
But
Donkey Kong, though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
so-
that'll probably be the highest scoring, I would have thought.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in terms of a launch, it's like, okay, that's a hell of a... Okay, not all these games are launch games. Like, most of them, in fact, a great deal of them aren't, but it's a hell of a supporting list to come
They'll be out by the
gates
time
with.
there's actually stock.
Yeah. It's, they're swinging with their game list, for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, strongest third-party support lineup I think we've had on a launch for a while.
I mean,
so-
that's the thing that makes this. It's weird because, like, obviously we don't care about the 90% of those games, even in the context of games of those that we like. We wouldn't play them on the Switch to any. We'd go onto the PC or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
But you know, it's a good amount of support with some pretty big games.
You like to see it.
They're also not like too old in most cases.
So it's not like like when the Wii U came out and they were like, "Here's another version of Batman."
Yeah.
like, and it's like, wow, that game's already pretty old. Is that all this machine can handle? Like, it doesn't carry that feeling, right? This time round. There was a new Rhythm Heaven game announced, not in this presentation, but in the previous direct. It's like, hey,
Presumably for Switch 1.
For Switch 1, yeah. So there's a new Rhythm Heaven coming. Come on. Gnome watched that trailer and was like, that is a really weird trailer. Like, you don't need to explain the concept of rhythm to me.
Well, the thing is that trailer is just the intro of the game because that's what they always do. They always do explain the concept of rhythm to you.
Yeah.
They don't go like, try and do this thing by pushing the button at the right moment, and there's no sound, and then it's like, but what if we add music? And then you're like, rhythm heaven.
Yeah, now I can do that. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a slightly strange way to... Yeah, you don't need to show us that. Just show us the weird shit you're up to. Yeah. Have we switched out?
I think maybe.
I think we maybe.
Should we very quickly try and crank out what we've been playing this week?
Well, I only have one thing to talk about, which is convenient because it's a thing that Rob has always also been playing that we needed to talk about more because now I have knowledge rather than just guessing.
Baladro?
No, Avowed. Obviously.
Oh, Avowed, right, yes, okay.
Oh, really?
Yes. I mean, it's on Game
I'm
Pass.
surprised that you're playing it.
Yeah, it's on Game Pass. You've got a powerful
Pass.
enough PC now, so it's fine.
How long are you going to keep Game Pass? Did it come with something, or have you?
I mean, it
just
came.
gonna keep paying for it?
It didn't come with, like, when you're setting up Windows 11, they just say, "Hey, how about you buy Game Pass?" And it's like, yeah, I guess. But obviously,
Oh, okay.
it.
Keep an eye on those Amazon
Actually, I think-
codes every now and then,
I
because
think
sometimes it's cheap.
I think maybe it did have like 1 month free trial on the Windows 11
really?
install.
But you're paying for it.
Yeah, I'm paying for it now, but I also made sure to downgrade to only PC,
Only
not
PC.
Ultimate, because it gives you Ultimate for free.
So I guess that means you don't get EA Play.
You do, but obviously
even
not
on just
not
PC
all of
too.
it,
Oh,
obviously,
I see.
because some of them are designed to be consoled or whatever.
Right, gotcha.
But yeah, you do get some of the EA stuff. So yeah, I've been playing Avowed because I can, I guess. And, now I'm the one with the Skyrim experience, so I can make all these direct comparisons.
Right, how far in
I'm about where you are as far as I can tell from the achievements.
So I've just made it out of
Yes,
Dawnshore.
you just made it to the second area.
Yeah.
That's where I am approximately. I did a little bit of stuff in the new area briefly, mainly just to get a feel for like the map, that size and that kind of thing.
So are you finding... I guess my biggest problem with Avowed so far is the fact that there's a whole bunch of side stuff that I don't feel like you can treat as side stuff. Like, the game almost... It feels to me like I have to do everything in order to actually stay...
Sure, because you don't
stay
really get
vaguely
experience any other way.
No.
You have to do... You don't get experience from just killing shit.
I mean, you do, but it's a very small
Sure.
amount.
You don't get meaningful experience from killing
And things
shit.
don't really respawn.
Not that I've seen so far, yeah.
I mean, I've seen a couple of the bad guys, the what are they called, swallowtails, sparrowhawks. Anyway, those guys that you briefly meet in Paradise,
Right. But they're part
have
of
a
the
fight.
city, right? Though.
yeah, and
So they
I've
have to
seen
respawn.
them turn up again, but that's about it.
Yeah. I mean, so the way I've been thinking about like all the things that I would compare to Skyrim is that like the overall feeling is just like this game feels small. Like there's a lot of things
Right.
that just feel small. So like the game is obviously not small in terms of like length. It's fucking long.
It does seem, yeah.
It's taken like 17 hours to get out of the first zone, and there's probably like 4 or 5 more.
Although it was quite reassuring in some way when you actually zoom out to the full map and you see that the secondary isn't just immediately adjacent to where you are. Like there are like the zones are like connected, so it's not like you're going to fill the whole whole area.
They are just like individual chunks of map
in the map. Yeah,
but that is part of the problem of why it does feel small is because like it's a weird argument of like when you're talking about Skyrim or Breath of the Wild, one of the complaints people sometimes have is that like, oh, there's all this empty space and all I do is just walk for 5 minutes to get to anything interesting.
sure.
But like that's why those games feel like an open world.
Sure.
Whereas this game, it's like you walk out of the city, you walk 2 steps forwards and you're in a bandit camp. You walk 2 steps forwards, you're in the deep forest or whatever, and it's like it doesn't feel like this world is big at all.
You're not wrong. If there is a distance, there's a you can't believe the distancing.
No.
Like it's like oh, there's outposts and big old walls and presumably people looking out over those big old walls, unable to see this very obvious camp of bad guys right outside.
Yes. So that's why the map is like feels small, even though like in some ways that's good because you're not wasting all this time just walking between places, but like
Sure.
it doesn't make it feel big. And then the smallness also extends because I think Rob was trying to describe this and I didn't fully understand it, but now I've seen it. It's like the skills and the loot and everything.
Right.
It's like there's nothing there really. Like you look at your combat skills and that's all of them. They're right there on the page, and there's only like 3 or 4 active skills for each of the different classes, basically.
Sure.
Plus whatever god skills you get.
Depending on which direct... I mean, you can mix and match a little bit, and I have started to do that. I've started pulling in some fighter skills into my wizard build.
Yeah, I can see how that would be useful. But then like with the loot, it's like there is no loot essentially. Like you get
like
the common bow at the start of the game, but then you can just upgrade it to the next tier of bow, and that's what determines the damage.
Yeah, I mean, there are the occasional unique items, but you still have to upgrade those to keep those viable.
Keep those DPS up, yeah.
But yeah, most of the stuff you're finding is just like, oh, it's not a dagger with like that just happens to be, oh, this one's a little better than the one I'm carrying.
I mean,
it's like, no, this is just the same ass dagger.
I haven't even seen any cases where they are like pipped. Like, have you ever looted a bow that's like fine and 1?
Oh no, that's very true. No, I haven't. Not once.
Yeah, so I'm just like, I'm not sure even that happens.
No, I think I found. Have I? I was about to say, I'm sure I found unique items that might be.
Yeah, I think the unique items can be pipped because I think the pistol. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to ask is like
the disappointer. What a great name for a gun.
I'm not sure that's the one I got, but that's the other thing I wanted to ask is like, do you think are the uniques randomized at all?
I don't think so. I want to say those are very deliberate where you find them.
Yeah. Oh well, I mean, the thematically appropriate ones, yes, but occasionally you'll get them just out of a chest, and that feels like there could have been an opportunity for those to be more random.
Maybe. Yeah,
especially when it's things like the boots or the gloves that aren't as important in their specialness.
Yeah, I don't get the feeling that really anything is randomized.
Yeah, I don't think so actually.
Like not a single thing.
And then that weird effect of the loot also leads me to the other thing that's completely weird about the loot, and it's just like, why did they do this at all? It's like, why does carry weight exist?
Oh, what, the accompaniment?
Yeah, because like at any moment you can send stuff to your camp for free.
Yeah.
Out of your inventory. So why the fuck does carry weight exist?
You then can't retrieve it immediately.
Sure, but you can instantly teleport to a campsite and instantly teleport back to where you were afterwards.
Yeah, you can.
It's like there's no reason for carry weight to exist at all in this system that they've created, especially when, all the weapons are exactly identical, so...
I mean, it's semi-useful at times. The bit like if you're looting stuff and it suddenly puts up the encumberment symbol, be like, okay, yeah, I better sort this shit out.
Well, yes, that's like the only good thing about it is to act as a check to make sure you actually look at the menu occasionally.
Yeah,
but like that's not a reason for that feature to exist, really. Mm. It's one of those things where it's like this is a weird holdover from games of this type.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, you have to have encumbrance because otherwise you can just pick everything up, except we're allowing you for free to teleport stuff into your other inventory that doesn't have any encumbrance limits.
Or at least weight only does at least apply to weapons and armor.
Well, yeah, but that's what makes it even more pointless.
Yeah.
Because I can carry infinite healing potions.
Or a billion food items.
Yeah.
I'm carrying about 40 stews right now. Okay, no, not anywhere near that amount.
Sure. But yeah, it's almoys like they should have turned that round the other way and made the weapons not weigh anything and make the food weigh stuff that then you have a limited carry weight to.
Maybe, yeah.
Because that's the stuff you actually want to carry with you all the time.
Yeah, it might add an element of choice.
Yeah.
To or an element of strategy. But I can forgive them. They're trying to make this lighter weight than...
yeah, but I mean, that would be fine, except that, like, this system doesn't need to exist. They could have lightweighted it and just got rid of it.
Just got rid of it, yeah. Yeah. I can see that. I mean, I guess it stops you from like dramatically changing strat. Like if you've like there is a unique weapon you have that is actually more effective here, but then the probability of that happening is quite small because you kind of have to commit to a weapon to keep upgrading it.
To at least a couple maximum.
I haven't yet found a unique wand for my wizard layout.
No, and that's another problem.
I found a unique grimoire.
Sure. That's another problem with the unique weapon system, where it's like if you've chosen to use a specific kind of weapon, and then that weapon just doesn't turn up until midway through the game.
Yeah, I get the impression there might start being a bit more of a wizardy focus in this second area.
Yeah, probably. But I've been playing. For comedy value, I was like, I'm going to deliberately start Stealth Archer.
Oh, okay.
Because I was like, obviously, that's the worst possible thing in Skyrim, because that's just what everyone naturally goes into. Just because of the way the skills work in Skyrim. But I was like, I'm going to deliberately do that in this game. I'm going to play Stealth Archer. Obviously, Stealth Archer doesn't actually exist in this game.
No,
because you get one stealth strike and that's it. And then it's just regular combat because everyone instantly knows you're there.
I have come across scenarios where I have been able to pull off a bit more of a stealth.
Yeah, I mean, I've got
play.
2 or 3 without being noticed in certain situations.
But they're usually not set up in a way that you can just stealth your way through a scenario.
So that's obviously Stealth Archer doesn't actually work in this game, but I have been just playing Archer, and, well, it's like I use the bow if I think there's any chance of getting stealth, but otherwise I've been using arquebus and pistol.
Oh, okay.
I've been going full ranged. I have the pistol with a shield so I can parry.
Oh, the game doesn't tutorialize parrying. I've noticed it in the stats, but I just don't know how it works.
Well, the thing is, and I haven't looked at the full skill tree to make sure this, but parry is a skill you unlock in the ranger tree.
Oh.
So
Right, so-
I don't
so
know
we just-
if like the other trees also have it in one of their skills, or whether it is literally you have to go to the ranger tree to get it.
Interesting, because I saw it as a stat on shields,
Yeah.
and like sword and shield is my like backup.
Yeah.
Like if things get a bit too real and in my face, so like it's nice to just be able to pull up the shield and go nope.
Yeah, exactly.
Even in wizard mode, but I saw that stat and was just like, I don't know how to do that.
Yes. So as far as I know, it is just that you have to get it in the ranger tree, and then it is just like you press the block button as the attack is incoming, and then it turns into a parry.
That sounds useful.
It is, and also it does like a ridiculous amount of stun. Like you can stun,
Oh, neat.
you can stun an enemy in 2 parries basically,
Neat. Okay.
which is extra funny because I'm using the pistol as my weapon in the offhand with the shield. So you like double stun parry someone and then just fucking execute them.
I mean, the wizard stun like attack is kind of a bit weak because you just sort of stand there for a bit and everything goes like slow mo for a second,
Yeah.
right? And he just goes, and then he just goes.
That's sort of cool.
Like just gets his wand out, and just goes.
Because the gun ones are like exactly that undramatic, where it's like it goes slow mo and you super aim and then it just fires like a normal gun because it can't really do anything else.
Right, yeah.
Like with a bow, you get like you just pull out like 5 arrows and go pew 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 pew, and it's like that's sort of
Okay,
cool.
or just, it'd be funny if he just took the quiver and just
Fired the whole thing.
Yeah.
But yes, and that's also the other funny thing about guns is like because obviously all the weapons have a power attack, and like it makes sense for swords and shit where you just do a big stab, and it sort of makes sense for the bow where it's like you overdraw it or whatever. But with the guns, it's just like you aim harder, and then it turns into a power attack.
No one's ever made a game called Big Stab, have they?
Probably. But yeah, I am just trying to play full ranged, and like it works, which I was sort of surprised about. It's like you can actually. It's also obviously helped by the fact that the first companion you have is like the aggro tank, where he just like pulls aggro onto himself all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the range works pretty good, and you have that huge dodge, obviously, so you can quite easily just shoot away from anything that's actually
Yeah,
attacking
that is
you.
neat. I do find myself stamina, like accidentally running out of stamina quite easily as ranged, right? Because you can just shoot more, right?
Sure,
You have more because you don't have to like get up in someone's face or anything, like, which takes a bit of time, and that's like gives you time for your stamina to recover. When you're ranged, you can just be like, no, I'm firing bullets at you.
well,
and
I mean, that probably depends on what kind of ranged and like the power attack timing and that kind of stuff. And like, obviously, if the skills might also negate that drain to some extent, depending on what you're spec'd into. But like, I was having more trouble with running out of stamina when I was trying to do melee, because initially I was doing the ranger version of melee where I was using a dagger and a shield,
right.
which is also pretty funny because you're just like shank, 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 shank. It's real weird. But like that feels like I was running out of stamina more because I mean, obviously the actual problem is you have to remember that like holding block prevents you from gaining stamina.
Yeah.
The classic thing that is quite easy to forget in the heat of the moment.
Conveniently, sprinting has no effect.
Yes.
So you can just sort of try and sprint away from stuff.
Yes. Although I wish you could dodge forwards. The amount of times I'm trying to sprint to run away from things, but I also want to dodge, and I just like stupidly jump. It's like, that's not a dodge. And I kind of like the stupid parkour. I mean, it's like
Fine, yeah.
legitimate. Not like you can climb up specific things, not just like Skyrim your way up a mountain in the classic Skyrim fashion.
Most things, if it's a ledge, you can get up.
And I also thought it was funny how like this world's yellow paint is dangling ropes.
I hadn't even noticed that. In fairness, I hadn't even spotted it because I've been climbing all kinds of stuff.
Well,
like,
sure.
it just-
I mean, when you're out in the wild, sometimes it will be like the edge of the ledge is like white, where it's like eroded more or whatever. But like when it's in a town or anywhere like that, it's just like here's a dangling bit of rope that shows you where the edge of the ledge is.
I mean, I hadn't even noticed that because it's just like it's such a general mental system, right? It's like,
although you can. Once you see it, it's like, oh yeah, I can see like here's the series of ledges that go up the side of this cliff.
I'm going to be looking for it now. So, thanks for that. I was blissfully unaware.
And then the last thing that I wanted to mention was like how the dialogue is kind of weirdly weirdly unspecific on like what's good and bad.
Yeah, sometimes that's thrown me, and I have reloaded once because of a conversation tree that just really didn't pan out the way I expected it to.
Because the problem that I have is that like,
because it's like, no, I didn't want to do that. Why have you done that?
It's a thing that's like a holdover from other games of this type, but you can't assume that just because the conversation tree is a special one that you can only access because of your background or your skills, that's not always a good thing. Like, sometimes you'll say something real bad if you just automatically choose that option.
Yeah, but like being smart can mean you're an ass.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, it's not really what the problematic one I had. I can't really remember the exact conversation it was, but it's like I said something that in my head read as one way, but then what actually happened was my companion stepped in and completely turned the meaning of that.
Right, okay.
So yeah, Kai said something that was just like, no, that's not what I meant at all. That's not what I was trying to say. And then the entire tone of the conversation changed, and it's like, okay, that's kind of fun, but I really wish I could just step in at this moment and say, no, that's not what I said.
Yeah. I feel like there's... I mean, that's it.
It just felt bad. And it's like, that was the moment where it's like, well, fuck you, Kai. I'm going to do this a different way.
In some ways, that's like almost more realistic. Where it's like the guy you're with just says something dumb.
Yeah, it's like, oh, why did you do that, mate? Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it's also weird when you when you're probing a conversation and it's more a sort of more open conversation, but you're like, you start going down one path and it's like, oh, this is probably going to go bad if I keep saying things like this. Yeah. But then you just say the other thing and it's just like, whoop, and the conversation turns kind of nice again suddenly.
Yeah, sometimes it's a very hard pivot. But that's a hard thing to do.
Yes, obviously.
And Obsidian are one of the best in the game at doing those sorts of things. So
I mean, I'm not sure I'm totally on board with their writing style, to be honest.
No, it's... Do you agree with what I said last time? And that I feel like the whole game is pretty dry.
Yes,
like it's saying it's soulless is perhaps a little strong, and I think I am warming to its style a little more. Like I am warm now. Once when you get Marius in your party, for instance, I think the dynamic does improve. But those early few hours are a bit rough. And it doesn't help that it's very lore heavy, like from the Pillars of Eternity playbook.
I mean,
and it's like
it kind of has to be.
It's learnable, but like, and it is immersive in the sense that everyone's in this world, right? It's not like you're the amnesiac in this world. It's like, oh, you're new to this land, but the world is defined, and so everyone just speaks about it casually, which is good. But it does make those opening hours a bit dense with, okay, what are they talking about? Why are they talking about this with such reverence? I have absolutely no idea what's happening. And at least you do have that lore button if you really care.
Sure.
But I'm trying not to use that thing because I don't really want to just stop and be like, okay, what the hell?
I'm still going around reading every book. And
I gave up on that very quickly. I was just like, oh, this is more text. Nope.
Well, what I'm really curious about, because this is another holdover from Skyrim or whatever, is that just like, why do you choose to take some notes into your log and some of them you just leave behind?
Yeah.
It's like, either take everything or take nothing.
What defines that? Yeah.
Because in Skyrim, obviously, you can pick up every goddamn shitty piece of paper that's like a one-word note and take it with you.
Jeez.
Yeah, exactly. But then most of those you can't, except sometimes there's just like an actual book that seems like it would be a normal one of the lore things, but you don't take that either.
Mm.
And does that matter in any way? Is any of this lore ever going to come back? I mean, logically, I would say they would probably do it at least once, where it's like, oh, I read that book. It'll come up in a conversation tree.
Yeah. I've seen that.
But yes, that kind of Skyrim lore has always been like, how much do you really care to read?
It's definitely been there was a couple of moments as well where it did the classic thing where it's just like, oh, if only I had this one-of-a-kind item that I've lost somewhere, and it's like, oh, I've got that.
Sure,
and your character literally just says, as a matter of fact, I just happen to have one of those.
Sure, I mean, I think I've only had that really happen one time, and that was kind of made sense in the context of like, oh yeah, of course, I already have that. It was those stupid refugees that you had to get the stuff for the smugglers.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't.
Yeah, that happened there.
It's because it doesn't. If you get the quest not from them, but from the person in town, it doesn't send you to them to talk to them first. So you just turn up and have all the stuff they want.
Yeah, that was one of the occasions where that's happened to me. Yeah, there was another one where that played out like that. It was like, oh, I know, I've just found that casually.
Well, and in the start of the second area, there was also a point where I perceived that this was about to happen, where there was like. I was doing the normal thing of, fucking stealing everything as you do.
Yeah, because there's no consequences in this. Like, there's no there's no policing or anything like that. You can just go do it.
Although occasionally people will comment.
Yeah, people will talk about it. It's like, as if you haven't taken enough from us, and it's like, and I'm just like, I'll have your money.
And there was one case where I doubt it will matter. I doubt it's this detailed, but I very intentionally didn't steal from the chest that was sitting directly next to the altar of one of the gods. And I was like, maybe I'll leave that one. Maybe I won't loot that thing that's on the altar of this god.
Was it glowing? Was it glowing blue?
Yes, it was.
In which case, it doesn't matter.
Yep, don't care about those. But the situation I had was when I was like randomly looting this place, and I got into some back area, and it's like it was behind a barred door. So I was like, oh, where's the back entrance? Because obviously that's what a barred door means. And I found my way around there, and there's like an enemy which has a name, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to leave that guy alive because I'm probably going to come back to that in a mission.
Yeah.
That's probably something that someone's going to tell me to do, so I might as well have them tell me to do it rather than just do it.
I haven't had that happen yet where I've come across a killable dude who was named. Well, that wasn't a bounty.
Sure.
And then have a mission refer to him. That's not happened yet.
I'm sure it wouldn't have made any actual difference to the outcome of that scenario. Or that might have been kind of funny. Where, the person was like, oh, you need you to go kill that guy. And you're like, actually, I already totally murdered his ass. Even though no one told me to.
just happened to be a serial killer. Yeah.
Unprovoked, I had him. I mean, the other thing that's worth talking about, I suppose, about Avowed is I switched to PC.
Right.
Because why wouldn't I? Now I've got one. I think this game is much better suited to PC play. And it felt immediately more natural to me to play it this way. Just traversing the menus, using the mouse to do all that stuff rather than the controller.
Sure.
Like, it was a perfectly fine controller experience. But then I played it on PC and I'm like, oh, this is so much better. Like, I don't know, there's a feel thing to it that just clicked with me much better. I mean, also, it's incredibly pretty.
Sure. The menus are still I'm sure it's the same in the console, but the menus aren't great to navigate. There's certain things where it's just like, why is this like this?
Yeah, there's some oddities. Yeah.
Like when you're in the menu for enchanting your unique weapons, why can you tab to the page with the crafting materials in? It's just a list. You can't even do anything with it. It's just a list of what you have.
You can't even craft materials into that.
No, because the enchanting uniques doesn't use the upgradable materials; it uses the special ones.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's just why is this list here?
That's weird. Maybe it will eventually. I don't know, but yeah, that's slightly odd.
And then also, I assume this must be a PC thing, but I turned off the auto advancing text.
Oh, okay. So yeah. I don't think I turned that on normally.
Well, so it reads every line and then it pauses for you to advance it to the next line.
Yeah.
But for some reason that takes 2 clicks.
Yeah, it does take 2 clicks.
And I'm just like, how does that work on the console?
If you're skipping, it takes 2 clicks. If you're not skipping, it's...
Sure, but then there's the skip zone at the end where you have to wait until the dialogue sound effect is completely finished.
Yeah, there's a bit of that. Yeah. I did run into some... I have hit a couple of technical hitches. I fell through the floor once.
Okay.
But
I nearly got stuck once.
But it wasn't a problem because I could just fast travel out of it. Sure. It wasn't a death hole.
You didn't hit the kill plane.
It was in the bloody entrance to Paradise. I just went up those stairs and just fell through them and ended up under the town. It's like in a weirdly crafted little hole under the town. And it's like, okay, what am I doing? Okay, no problem. I'll just fast travel out. But also, the game kind of looks weird if you don't max everything out. And okay, not a problem on this machine. I can run everything at epic mode. I'm running it with DLSS in I messed around a bit. I can't see much of a performance difference between quality and balanced mode, and I can't see a difference between those two. So I'm using DLSS. I'm getting about 100 frames-ish, lows of 90 in town, but that's perfectly acceptable. Yeah. I'm not having a problem. Not going to complain about that. But I noticed like my GI setting at one point was one lower than Epic, one lowest than the top. And I noticed like I was at night, I was in town, and there was a flame illuminating a bit of geometry.
Right.
But it seemed like the DLSS and the GI were fighting each other. So it's like the GI on dynamic light points seems to be a bit noisy. But not noisy in the sense that it's like little pixels, like big chunks of light. It seems to and upping the GI quality seems to dramatically reduce the size of those chunks.
Yeah,
so when combined with DLSS, that flame didn't look stable. Like it's not supposed to be stable because it's a flame,
right? Sure,
but you know what I mean. But it looked very wrong and in a not right kind of way. So I messed with it. I turned off DLSS, and it's like oh, that fixed it, but I can still tell that the GI isn't at a high resolution at that distance.
Right.
Like it doesn't look quite right. So then I swapped it around to the DLSS back on, but up to the GI to Epic, and it's like problem solved. Now it looks great. So I also ran into issues with reflections, so I'm running it with ray tracing and everything turned on.
Right.
And you can very much tell that the ray traced reflections are of a pretty low quality compared to when it's doing SSR. Like it overlays the SSR reflections over the ray traced reflections when they're available. And then when the SSR moves off screen, you can still see the reflections, which is great. That's awesome. But you can tell that those models that it's using to do the ray traced environment are so much lower quality than the. So you can see that, and then they don't glow. And the lighting changes when stuff goes off screen.
Right.
The GI doesn't apply, so you can see the world sort of change color when stuff goes. So it's a little weird, and I think that's just it's like as great as modern rendering is, and as fascinating and technically impressive as it is, there are some definite drawbacks to modern techniques, and this unstable world feeling is very much one of them. I'm a bit new to this party, and I think, and it's like it's a little off-putting at times. That said, when you go into a darkened room, and the doors at the other end of the room open, and that room suddenly fills with the light of outside at the middle of the day, and the way that that room suddenly lights up and reacts to it, that is beautiful. Love that. Can't get enough of that. It looks. That's how lighting should work. It's one of those moments where you're just like, oh damn, we're there. Like this looks real nice. But
it definitely has hell of Lost Coast HDR lighting.
Oh, the HDR, the old, not even the new style HDR. The old school Lost Coast HDR application is too strong. Like
so you walk into a game, you just can't see shit for like 5 seconds. Although actually, there's been multiple times where I'm just like, I need a fucking torch. Like I can't see enough. I need it to be a bit brighter in here. Maybe that's just my gamma.
At least in Half-Life you have a torch.
Yeah, I don't think I've run into that problem. Everything's been pretty visible for me, but yeah, no, the eyes adjusting effect is a bit potent here, like a bit too much.
And I think I have sort of maybe I don't even remember what settings I am. I'm pretty sure I've not turned up all the way because my system would be slightly less powerful than yours, even. But like, I think I've noticed the thing you've been talking about because it does that thing of like. There was a case when I was talking to the ambassador in the embassy.
Oh, is it the shadows behind his head?
Yeah, you can see how the occlusion on the shadows on the bookcase changes as he like sways slightly in front of them.
The screen space shadow application is occasionally in that particular scene. It's really bad.
Yeah,
but it's generally pretty good. But yeah, that's like I'm pretty sure that must be using a screen space effect to achieve it rather than a GI or a ray traced bit of lighting. But yeah, that looks off.
Yeah, it's slightly weird. But again, I don't actually know what my graphics settings were.
I didn't actually mention like the issue I was thinking about with reflections, where unless I turned reflections up to epic quality, it looked like they were applying, I'm guessing, a variable rate shading effect, right? Do you remember that? That's the thing where like certain effects don't actually render at full resolution. They choose to downgrade. But there were just certain spots of the map where I could look out to sea, and I could have in the center of my vision, right, like near the crosshair or whatever, like the reflection there would be rendering at a noticeably lower resolution than the reflections around. It's like there's this one like archway at sea or something that for some reason it just couldn't do, or was choosing not to render the reflections of that at the same resolution as everything else around it. So it just looked really weird and out of place. Like here's the Super Mario World effect in the distance. like here's that mosaic going on. It was really odd, but like upping that to epic, and it's like, oh, problem gone. Okay, great, no problem. And it didn't really impact performance at all for me to actually up that setting. So it's like, oh, okay, all good. Weird stuff around the edges, just with modern rendering. But when it's the world detail and how the world looks and how it's lit, very, very nice indeed. And Nanite works brilliantly. Like, okay, there's a little bit of foliage pop up, like for little bits of grass here and there, but you can see a tree in the distance. You can start walking towards that tree. You are not going to notice an LOD change. Like the Digital Foundry did a nice video on that. So I was like, oh yeah, I guess I never have noticed it. So then I started
definitely haven't.
So then I started doing it to things, and it's like, oh yeah, there's like zero pop up, like there's a zero geometry pop up. Nanite works great.
So it should.
Yeah,
that's what it's for.
Exactly. But yeah, it's really good to see. It's nice. Yeah, Valda's a pretty cool game.
I don't know if I'm going to stick with it.
That's really? Oh, it's not drawing you.
Well, I don't know. I still feel like the weapons are just going to be the one problem. Like, all I'm ever going to do is what I'm doing right now. And, like, it's better combat than Skyrim, but I'm not sure that's going to sustain it for a whole game.
Right. It's definitely longer than I was anticipating. Like, that's my, like, problem at this point in time, is, like, you know, I wasn't really jonesing for a lengthy one of these.
Sure. You were hoping for a short one.
I was hoping for a shorter, get a feel, but a taste of the experience, but
that also doesn't help that you can't really skip anything. Like, you can't skip the side content because then you won't be leveled.
I don't feel like I can mainline this.
Yeah, I don't know. I
do kind of like it. It's just one of those games that I think I would have enjoyed more, because I would have not felt like I have to invest so much time in it. And with some games, that's not a problem. I'll invest hundreds into Yakuza, like no problem. But and especially because I'm playing this on PC now, there's that detachment problem I have at home, right? The antisocial thing. Like there's a bit of that happening.
You can't force people to watch you play with it. Not that your child minds at the moment, at least.
No, but I'm just not aware of like when I need to jump in and help with Milesy and stuff like that. It's which is a shame. So that's about. Is that all you got?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, whether I'll continue, I don't know. I mean, the fact that I actually started playing something at all after the previous 2 weeks where I couldn't decide what the fuck to start playing was a start, at least.
Yeah. Annoyingly, this is one of those weeks where I've actually jumped around and played quite a lot of stuff. So I'm going to very, very quickly rattle these off. Sure. I'm not going to hold you on. The main thing I want to talk about is Thank Goodness You're Here.
Right. I did see your achievements.
That game is freaking excellent. Yes. It's pretty short. I've spent about 2 to 3 hours in it for a complete run through, but it is very funny. I love the fact that it's clearly trying to be set in Barnsley, but they can't call it Barnsley, so it's just called Barnsworth.
Yep.
And it's like an incredibly run-down, dirty-ass town, like filled with like northern British humour. There's an option when the game starts that I didn't understand what it was
because you weren't northern enough.
Because it wasn't northern enough, yeah. And if you basically say like I understand it, like it turns all of the subtitles and all of the in-game text into a sort of phonetic northern accent, which is hilarious. I might start the game again because I've apparently not seen like a third of the stuff in the game. Like I played for it and I was trying to be pretty thorough, but like I've only got 2/3 of the achievements, right? So there's clearly some stuff I haven't seen, and I kind of want to see it because it's all funny and all like it's the rare comedy game that lands it, and it lands it particularly for me because it's got that. I think it's got the bit of a Vic and Bob absurdist nature to it. I mean, Matt Berry does one of the voices, and you can very obviously tell it's him when he turns up.
Obviously.
But he's got a northern accent, so it threw Gnome for a bit. And it's like, no, that's not him. I'm like, that is so him. Like, it can't be anyone else.
You can tell as soon as he says fertilizer.
Yes.
Fertilizer.
Oh my god. Yeah, I loved this thing. I thought it was really, really good.
I just always think of Matt Berry in a vocal booth because he must have been for this game with the fucking Clem Fandango joke. Do you know that one from Toast of London?
Oh,
I can hear you, Clem Fandango.
I'm not.
It must be so tempting if he's in the booth and you're the guy who's directing him.
Yeah, as much as I love Matt Berry, Toast of London, I don't know. Something never clicked with me with that. Like,
oh, okay, fine.
It should. I know it should. But for some reason, it just didn't. But yeah, what a fantastic game this is! I can't wait to see what they come up if this team does more stuff, especially if they do more stuff with Matt Berry. What a pull! But all of the other voice work is good as well, equally stupid. And all it. I mean, someone just described it as it's a comedy walking simulator, and it's like, well, to some extent, it kind of is, but you do at least have some agency with your.
Punch everything.
Punch. Is it a punch? Is it a smack? I kind of thought of it like a cheeky smack.
Yeah. I mean, technically, they call it a smack, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think one of the funniest visual gags in the whole game is one of the earliest ones where you end up in a receptionist's office waiting for the mayor to be like, and the receptionist in the background is playing solitaire on her computer, but she's also got real cards in front of her and she's licking them and attaching them to the monitor screen. For no good reason, and for some reason that just tickled me. It's just like, that is so stupid. I love it. and it's just full of stuff like that. Yeah. It's what a great game. Love it. What else have I been doing? I very briefly fired up Puyo Puyo Tetris.
Yeah,
because I've had that in my library for friggin' ages. Never actually fired it up, and they actually announced in that Switch 2 montage there's a sequel coming.
I mean, of course,
Puyo Puyo Tetris 25.
It's not 25, it's 2S.
Oh, was it 2S? Oh, okay.
I
thought it was 25 because 2025. You know, that's how I read it. Okay, 2S. Okay, whatever. 2 Switch.
I guess.
Yeah. I really want to like it. I like Puyo Puyo. I like how that game plays. I like Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. You know?
Yep, that's naturally the one.
But there's something very off-putting about how Sega styles modern Puyo Puyo. It's just, I don't know. It just does not appeal. It's like where Bubble Bobble might have gone, but just crapper. Like, I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it. It's like saccharine and not impactful, and it's just not interesting.
Like Puzzle Bobble was like Puzzle Bobble. No, well, not exactly, but like
kind of, yeah. Buster Move. Yeah.
But like that was like slightly edgy. Whereas Puyo Puyo is like the most generic.
Yeah, I think that's the problem. It's just so bland. And like I tried playing. It has a story mode, right? And it goes through, and it's just, it's so dumb. It's like this. Oh, people we just teleport to other worlds all the time. That's just kind of what happens to us, isn't it? Ha ha ha. Oh, look, it's happening again. But what are those? Oh, they look a bit blocky. It's like, I guess that's Tetris. It's awful. It is awful.
I mean, obviously,
it's not even a little bit funny at any time. It's just terrible.
What were you expecting from the story of a game that's only about Tetris and Puyo?
No, I kind of expected some writing of some kind. Like, they try and make it a little bit interesting in some way, but no, they really haven't. But obviously, I wanted to check out the weird stuff, right? How does this even work? How does the fusion mode work? Was the thing I was most interested in. How does playing Tetris and Puyo Puyo at the same time hang together? And the answer is incredibly weirdly. It's like you can the Puyo Puyo blobs can sit on top of the Tetris blocks. The Tetris blocks, when they land, will effectively squidge the Puyo Puyos out of the way. So they just kind of disappear while the block is falling. So you can still make Tetris stuff, I guess, happen.
Right.
But when the block lands, the Puyo Puyos that got squished will eventually fall back in the same orientation that they were disappeared from.
Right, so the Tetris blocks are always at the bottom of the screen, basically, and then the Puyo stuff just stacks on top.
Kinda, yeah. But there's like a timing mechanic to it. So you could, if you like, in Tetris you have like the insta drop now, or you have the regular drop.
Yeah.
If you regular drop things onto a stack of Puyo Puyos, you'll lose control of it. But the Tetris block will start slowly squidging its way down the screen.
Right.
And while that's happening, you can start doing other stuff, like either like making a Tetris line by doing like a hard drop or something, or making Puyo Puyos. And there's like a timing aspect to getting like what it calls mix combos of like, oh, I've got a Tetris line and I got some Puyo Puyo stuff happening in that time period, and that is a way of adding to the combos that you're sending across to the other player. And it's weird. It's fairly survivable, I thought. Like, I actually think it's easier to keep going. Because you can squidge stuff out. Like, if you get mean beans, or whatever the equivalent is, I think they're called trash jellies or something, trash puyos, something like that. If those get sent across to you, you can just squidge them with the Tetris blocks. If you've got a Tetris,
that gets rid of them.
It gets rid of them.
Oh, weird.
So it's fairly survivable, I found. I played Endurance and lasted maybe 2 hours in one game.
Great.
Which was quite annoying because the music loop was really short.
Oh, sure.
And so by the end of it, I'm going like, you know what? I'm actually kind of getting tired of this. I did eventually lose, but it took a while. I wanted because I played Puyo Puyo Endurance because that was the mode that was in Yakuza 6,
right?
The version of that, and that gets harder a lot faster. Anyway, it's a weird ass thing. Like, I just wanted to see what it was like more than anything. I might go back to it and play some just. I think I prefer Puyo Puyo in Puyo Puyo to Puyo Puyo Tetris, if that makes sense. But it's an interesting mashup. Just not that interesting. Not that. Now I've done that. I think I've done it. You know what I mean? So there's that. I started playing Forza Horizon 4 Fortune Island as kind of the quick pick up and play. So that's the first DLC pack they did for Forza Horizon 4. Which was set on remote Scottish. I'm going to say it's Scottish, given that Forza Horizon 4 was near Edinburgh, little island. But the whole deal was it's like stormy most of the time. So big ass lightning events and lots of rainy events and lots of dirt tracks up hills. Kind of well suited to trucks and rally cars. And I actually think driving the rally cars is kind of some of the most fun you can have in Forza Horizon. So, yeah, it's all right. It's just more of that. It's a good way to make money. There's some like million credit treasure drops you can do. It's just like, oh, okay, that's yeah. I could do with the dough.
Pay to win DLC.
Kinda, yeah. I don't think it's very big. The area you get isn't huge, but hey, it's something. And then the next one is obviously the Lego one, so I'll get to that at some point. I definitely want to see how that looks.
Well, yeah. Probably more interesting than just storms.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't had it like be impactful in any way. Okay, the lightning looks nice, but like it doesn't feel like it really changes the gameplay particularly. Would have been weird if there was like a gusty level or something where you could feel the gusts on your car.
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah. Something like that. There's that. For some reason, I played a bunch of Ridge Racer, the PS1 version, on the Steam Deck. I just kind of picked it up and started playing it for some reason. Nearly done everything that has to offer. I can't beat the reverse time trial mode. That's quite hard. So I haven't done that. Anyway, I think I've probably forgotten something, but I'm going to start there. Oh, I played some F-Zero X as well, because I thought about... We didn't record a video last week, because stuff.
Yep.
Stuff got in the way. So I thought about, like, maybe I should do another one of those, my anti-grav series, after the one Wipeout video I did. It's like, okay, what's next? Oh, probably F-Zero X. But I'm going to need to unlock stuff before I want to record that, really. Like, maybe I should get the X Cup back, so I can do the random track generator thing. So I'm going to play some F-Zero X.
Did you not just go look up cheats again?
I probably could have done, but I kind of just wanted to play it. Also, it was just like what's the best way to actually run this now? And I fell back to the solution we used for the Ocarina of Time video in the end. I went back to using the parallel core in RetroArch, but with the Angry Lion super accurate old school looking graphics pack. So it's all pixely and how it ran on the N64, and it looks grungy as hell. I thought about like using an upscale because it does look fine with an upscaler, but it's not quite perfect, you know? And the Angry Lion graphics core does look really damn authentic. So yeah, I started playing it on that and had a pretty good time. But I'm not nearly as good at that game as I used to be, so maybe I won't be able to unlock the X Cup. Cheats! We'll see. Anyway, we haven't got a video for you next week.
Well, I might record something possibly as well.
Sweet.
I have an idea.
We might have a video for you next week.
We'll see.
Sweet. And they're available on YouTube. Happy Salad is our YouTube channel. And that's it for this podcast. We talked about Switch 2. We talked about the games we've been playing.
Did
you just about managed it?
Did you play anything, Dave?
I just looked, and the Pro controller for the Switch 2 has a 4-pole stereo 3.5.
Hey, okay, they did the thing.
CTIA standard, so it has a microphone.
Nice, good job, yes. Nintendo. You did the thing.
Final news, and yeah. So that's the end of this podcast, and we'll catch you in a couple of weeks for another one with slightly less news, probably.
Probably.
So we'll see you then.
Certainly. It can't happen again.
Bye.